I tried to be fair, but you don't believe in doing your share. But I've learned my lesson, and now I can say the white guilt in my heart is dying away, is dying away. Your movies don't thrill me like they used to do. Your words only chill me, I'm glad that we're through. My heart was yearning, but now I can say the white guilt in my heart is dying away, is dying away. You fooled me a while, you thought you were wise, you even believed I fell for your lies, but the tricks turned on you. Now gladly I say the white guilt in my heart is dying away, is dying away. Your movies don't thrill me like they used to do. Your words only chill me, I'm glad that we're through. My heart was once yearning, but now I can say the white guilt in my heart is dying away, is dying away, is dying away.
I'll rebuild that store for you. I'll remake that store for you. I'm not going to let the anti-whites get away with this. And you know why anti-whites? I'm speaking directly to you. Do you know why that is? Why this is so different than the rest of the white positive sphere? The reason why is because we are motivated by love. We are stepping forward in front of the white children. When that danger presents itself, when that rabid dog comes running up to us, we move the white children behind us and we step up. That is why. This is the response you're always going to get. So ladies and gentlemen, please, let's get a huge round of applause for Phoenix Fire and all of the selfless work that she did immediately, as soon as these anti-whites censored No White Guilt Collectibles from their platform over at Store Envy. She immediately got to work, and in the blink of an eye, that store was back up and running. The anti-whites, all of their efforts negated in a heartbeat. And you will see that every time from us in this sphere, anti-whites, every single time. And the rest of you anti-whites out there, just know this is a cause motivated by love. The more pressure you put on this community of carbon, the more pressure you put, you won't get dust, you'll get diamonds. You're going to have men and women that are going to stand up at the last minute as that bullet streaks across the battlefield for the head of one of our children. You're going to have a man or woman step in front to take that bullet. Every time you knock one down, there's going to be another to take their place. Because that is what love does. That is how love fights. And it doesn't matter how much and how often you try to call it hatred. It doesn't matter how much and how often you try to call it bigotry. We know we love enough to continue to fight in the name of love, even when you have the power to call it hate. That is a love you all can never know. That is a passion you all can never realize. You'll never be able to embrace someone in your life and know something that pure and that cosmic and that timeless as that kind of love. Because your lives, anti-whites, your lives are dedicated to destruction. Those of us who step in front of the rabid dog, those of us who step in front of the streaking bullet across the battlefield, we may live one less day than you, but all the days in our lives will mean that much more. Know that. Know that to be the case. So a big round of applause to all of our heroes, to everybody standing up. And it didn't just end there either, anti-whites. All of this recent pressure that you put on, another hero of our community stepped up, Luke. And I want to get a big round of applause for Luke, ladies and gentlemen. He bought a copy of Born Guilty and Go Free for an impecunious member of our community who otherwise would not be able to afford it and would not be able to be empowered. A big thank you to Luke, but that wasn't it. Luke designed and has shipped me all on his own time and efforts and is now making these business cards to pass out to people, to make available so that I can make them available to you, so that he can make them available in his communities. These will be going along with purchases from No White Guilt Collectibles. It's an easy way to pass to friends, family, and strangers the message of going free. It has long been said that you cannot teach a man a thing, he has to discover it for himself. This is one of the best ways. You see that person out on the street corner, that white guy, that white woman at the bus stop. You don't have the courage, you don't know what to say to wake them up. Get a bunch of these, print them up yourselves. Print up something like this yourself. And pass it on, ladies and gentlemen. Let them go find out for themselves. That, anti-whites, this is what you did. How many tens of thousands more will know before the end of the year what it means to love with a true love, to feel passion that is real passion, because you decided to try to silence the work that we're doing here. Well done. Well done to Phoenix Fire, to Luke, to everybody who's stepping up, to everybody else who's stepping up in the shadows. Oliver isn't white positive enough. Oliver needs to be hardcore white positive. You got that? Who that? Hardcore. He ain't white positive enough, not nearly enough. There's a new wind that's blowing through that. It's the winds of change coming from a western sunrise. Your days, your anti-whiteism are numbered.
My bottle of wine, you get better with time. I think it's clear that I'm happy you're mine. It's crazy how all we can do is grow. No need to ask, cause I'm letting you know. My chest fall for your harder each and every day. Butterflies intensified, they never went away. Love only grows, what more can I say to you? Does my heart still skip a beat? Can my knees still get weak? Do I still float when you're with me? Do I still feed for your kiss and my hands on your hips? My response is that's for sure, and even more. My favorite thing to look forward to each day is the end of it, cause next to you I lay. Always am excited to see you. Your love was a hit, but even better is the sequel. It's always a pleasure to see what is next. I did something right in life cause I'm with the best. If you ever wonder, I hope this song can express it. Listen to me now. Does my heart still skip a beat? Can my knees still get weak? Do I still float when you're with me? Do I still feed for your kiss and my hands on your hips? My response is that's for sure, and even more, and even more. Does my heart still skip a beat? Can my knees still get weak? Are you the most beautiful woman I've seen? Still. Does my heart still skip a beat? Can my knees still get weak? Do I still float when you're with me? Do still free for your kiss, and my hands on your hips. Responses, that's for sure, and even more, and even more.
And we're rolling in, going free, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know if you can hear me okay. It's great to see you on this Valentine's Day. Thank you all for showing up. Julesy is here. Wonderful to see you. Jay Bishop, the nameless one. Cool Papa J Magic. Nick Samuski is with us. Hyperborean Dream. Promethean Healing is here. Champions are in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Champions. Let your friends know, because they might not. There's the great clips. Talk about a champion. Yes, if you're asking, that is a particular swan ballet in the background. Let's see. The great clips is here. Wonderful to see you, brother. Swan Lake on this 14th of February. And we are the community that loves. That's really what sets us apart. Red Dog is here. Bobby Boldly. That's a great name. Struggling is here as well. The Uncle Jesus is here. Foster Kennel, wonderful to see you. White Wolf is with us. White Wolf. Great to see you all. Let your friends know that we're here. Some people are out and wasting gobs of money because everything is, all the prices go up, of course. Prices for candy, for flowers of various types. I assume everybody can hear me, right? Yes. Reynold White Wolf is here. I think I saw Franklin earlier, a message, so I know I think he was actually here first. Rick Freedom is with us. Great to see you. Prices go up on flowers. Prices go up on chocolates, on candies of various types, on all like the little gifts. Teddy bears. Prices have gone up. Everything is up. Restaurant prices go up, and you get to go sit in a restaurant. Who wants this? With all the noise, the cacophony, the cacophonous nature of the restaurant on this day. It just makes it something, makes it a place that's not really romantic, even when it's meant to be a romantic place. Isn't that true? Have you all experienced it? It's dreadful as far as I'm concerned. I guess it depends on what you're expecting when you go to a restaurant on Valentine's Day. What's supposed to happen? Looks like everything is up and running properly, though. We have Entropy is up and running. If you would like to make a financial gift there, Odyssey as well. D Live as well. Cash App is up and running. Subscribe Star is up and running. And across all of these different platforms, if you merely tag me as No White Guilt, I will see it and I will respond. Now, I wonder on Twitter, I usually don't have Twitter open. And therefore, I mean, I'm live on Twitter. I guess if I leave that tab open, I can also have a look on Twitter to see if anybody is leaving a comment, and I can respond to you. So if you are listening on Twitter, then you can leave a comment under the live stream, and I will see it there, and I'll take a look. I'll take a look and respond to you potentially. You shouldn't have to tag me there, but everywhere else, tag me as No White Guilt, No White Guilt. And I will speak to your comments, questions, or concerns. It is, of course, Valentine's Day. And what song should we sing on Valentine's Day? Who here is in the midst of a ring of fire? because that could be a song we could sing. Ulrich is with us. Great to see you, brother. Yeah, please remember, give a like to the stream and share it on your social media. What's this over there? When was that? Was that the other day? Oh, yes, that was the other day. If only being right meant something, you'd have millions of followers. Yes, that was on Sunday or Sunday Gathering. Being right doesn't get you followers. It doesn't get people interested in you. Having the way out, having the keys to the prison, believe it or not, doesn't really matter. What really sets us apart in service to white well-being is that with love, hope, and redemption, we recapture our destiny. We recapture our destiny within ourselves first and foremost, the destiny of our families, those who are closest to us, our friends. Maybe we have very close friends as well. Our friends generally, our acquaintances, our colleagues, our coworkers, our schools, our school boards, our communities. All of this is all of that recapture is a consequence of focusing on ourselves in love rather than on the other in hatred. And we talk about this all the time, so we're not going to belabor the point here on Valentine's Day, where we're going to be celebrating, and we're going to show some funny videos in just a moment. In just a moment, we'll play some funny videos, and then we're going to get on to, let's see, what do we have here? I want to give a big thank you, if we could. Maybe some raucous emojis, some 007s for white well-being. That video that we opened up with on this roll-in today is called We Love. How appropriate is that? Another emotionally stirring, magnificent creation for white well-being. So big heart emojis, big loving emojis, floating heart emojis for white well-being, for making that. These are going to reach so many more people than yours truly ever will. So God bless for white well-being and all the hard work that he's doing and all of you are doing. And so happy. Alex Simpson is here. Spud Ruckus is in the house. And so happy. Wasn't it powerful? If you didn't get an opportunity to see it when we're done here this evening, you can head on back to the beginning of the video and check that out. It's just a handful of minutes long, very stirring. Talk about dedication, going back and pulling out those videos. What's happening over here? Don't do that. Hello to everybody on D Live and on Rumble. Anybody that shows up in these locales. Let's see. Hello to everybody on Odyssey and Twitter. And yeah, I will check Twitter this evening as well. Maybe we should do that from now on. We should check Twitter. Boy, look at the magnificent dance. Isn't this something? White people, you know what I mean? White people, high culture of Western. Wait, white people don't have culture. Well, I guarantee you, if you let white people, your typical cuck would watch Swan Lake and say, that's not ours. That's the world's, you see. That belongs to the world. Don't say that's a white thing. Don't say it's a white thing. It belongs to the world. And then following on the point I made on Sunday, when people, anti-whites of all races, come back and say, you don't have a culture. Really? I mean, you just disavowed everything we've ever done. I mean, some of these cucks are so bad that they will disavow that white people are a consequence of white people. Shit you not. You know, what do we name? Da Vinci the other day? You could name any number of white, magnificent-minded, heroic people, and white people would say, no, these particular cucks. No, that's not a consequence of white people. That's a consequence of humanity. well, we're going to have to take the leadership away from them because things are going to get, but you'll see, they'll stay in power all the way to the end if they're allowed to. Just look at the areas of the world that are ahead of the areas of the world that are behind in Western civilization, and they'll stay in power. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore. Isn't that the love song? You all have, some of you I know have rings of fire. So maybe that's what we should be getting at. But instead, I want to show you a little boy, and he's white. So maybe he's probably not a product of white people. But I'm going to show you this because it is absolutely splendid. Have a listen to this little boy, 5-year-old white child, playing, what is he? I can't see it. But we're going to listen, and you will have a smile spread across your face. Can you all hear that? Amazing. I want you to notice. I want you to notice that at times he just closes his eyes like he's thinking about something else. 5 years old. Can we be proud of classical music? Can we own that? Can we say that's our culture? Can we say that's our high culture? You know what? If this were a 5-year-old non-white child, every one of us would know that child's name. Yeah? Can I get an amen? You absolutely know it. And all of the white women would be, well, not all of them, many of them would be sitting around talking about how amazing the little black child is who plays the classical music, or how amazing the little Asian white kid doing it. And they're like, no, I'm not going to talk about that at all. Samuski says, I won an argument with an anti-white when I attributed credit to Western kind having built the Roman Colosseum, and they said humankind built it. Oh my God. They're going to steal everything from us. Every last thing. All of history is being white erased. We have to recapture our destiny, and we have to preserve what we have done, and we have to ennoble and build on top of what we have done, or it's gone. But you know, if this were a non-white child, he would be on every single television show throughout the day. They would be telling all the white people of the world how incredibly, remarkably, dazzlingly, amazingly gifted non-white children are. It doesn't even matter. I mean, this is happening all the time, ladies and gentlemen. This is that they have somebody who wins the spelling bee or something. If they're non-white, it's in everybody's face. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like boxing. For decades, everybody knew and talked about, and even the women, the black boxer heavyweight champion names. Then when it becomes white heavyweight champions again, nobody has a clue. So we have to recapture our destiny. It begins in this microcosmic way, and it begins with love. We have to love this little boy. We have to hate that he's not getting the credit, the fame, the wealth that would come to him if he were celebrated by this anti-white world, rather than hating the non-white people and white anti-white people who are preventing him and his name from being known and celebrated. Look at him. This is all in his mind. Amazing. Just absolutely big applause for this little boy. God bless him. It sounds like it's Mozart, doesn't it? It's got to be Mozart. So beautiful. God bless this little boy. Oh, wait, his name is Alberto, I think is what it says. Magnificent. Little Alberto. And I have, when I see these like little Asian children and they become player pianos of classical music pieces, I applaud them and celebrate them. How many non-white people celebrate white children? If they're good non-white people, they do. If they're anti-white, they don't. It's just like anti-white white people. God bless that little boy. Let's get on to, have you ever tried to jumpstart your car? Have you ever tried to jumpstart your car with an extension cord plugged into your house? Anybody? Raise your hands. Admit it. How many of you have tried to jumpstart your car with a extension cord plugged into your house? Does anybody know there's a little bit of a difference between the way those systems work? One is, and the other is, anybody know? Let's see if I can pull it up. All right. Yes, Hyperborean Dream. Yes, indeed. Your car is direct current, DC. Your house is AC, alternating current. That's so it can travel over distance. Direct current doesn't work as well for that. So this guy decided battery was dead. He was going to jumpstart the car. He was going to jumpstart it. He had taken a wire, you'll see in just one moment, stripped it, wrapped it around the battery terminals. And then the other end, of course, was the plug, which if you do that at your house, isn't that called a widowmaker? Any electricians in the house? All right, let's have a look.
Okay, so I lost my jumper cables, so I cut a cord off of an appliance inside, and I'm going to see.
Okay, you see that he cut this. This is right here, what you see running right here. On the other end of it has a plug, like you put into your outlet. He's cut the end off of it. He stripped it. He bared the wires and wrapped the wires around the posts, battery posts. Anybody have any predictions for what's going to happen? Anybody? Any predictions? What's going to happen to this guy? Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens when he plugs it in.
If I can get it to start.
He's not going to have to worry about getting the car to start. Maybe his heart to start. Samuski says he's going to blow up the battery and start a fire. Well, that actually, I think, could happen.
An extension cord inside plugged in an outlet. This end.
Okay, you see the extension cord on the ground. It's got 3 outlets. It's plugged into the wall in the house. I don't know. If I was watching this guy, I don't know if I would tell him. You know, I might just get like a 2x4 to knock him away from the electric if he really starts getting it bad. But oh, I didn't see that one, Jules C. Wow, that probably didn't go well, did it?
So don't fry anything.
Here we go. Ready? Ready,
Fry my
folks?
car, probably. Here we go. Okay, so I lost my jumper cables, so I cut a cord off of.
Man, it shocks the shit out of him. Holy God!
Appliance inside.
What?
And I'm gonna
You gotta watch. I gotta
if
try
I
to
can get
pause
it
it
to
at the
start.
end. Fire is coming out of the extension cord,
an extension cord inside.
and it's not just any fire. It's like electric fire.
So I plugged in an outlet. This in.
Let's see
So
if I
don't
can
fry
pause
anything. Fry my car, probably.
it. Listen to him get shocked.
Here we go.
So look, obviously, when he plugged it in, you heard him like give out like that giant moan as it got him, and he's pulled it free now. But fire is coming out of the extension cord. So let that be a lesson. If maybe you don't know exactly what you're doing, to get professional help. That's it reminds me when I was a teenager and I changed the brakes on my mother's car, and she went in to have the car inspected, and the mechanic came to her and said, "Ma'am, who did your brakes?" And she said, "Why?" He said, "There are parts missing." Hey, you can't be right all. You can't be, I mean, I'm right everywhere else, right? So fire comes out of that. What else did we have? Oh, this is neat. We'll be getting to some actual news items in 1 minute. Well, actually, right after this is something that's really pertinent to Valentine's Day, and apparently it's called Ho Math. So we'll be checking out Ho Math in just a moment. But this is really fascinating. All right, let's have a look at this. I mean, maybe this is funny. I don't know. Let's see. What's this right here? Turn the sound on. Okay, look at this thing. Could you imagine living somewhere where this was an animal in the woods? This is an orangutan. I'm guessing a male because it's gigantic. Now it's leaning over to wash its hand in this, it's not the best water, but it's all he's got, right? Look at this. So he washes the other hand with it. Now he looks over at the boat with the humans in it, and then he makes this gesture. No, he's not flicking them off. You see that? He gives them like a kind of like almost a stiff arm salute. Now look, he'll do it again. Look, he did it again. And then you see what he just did there? He did the salute again and then put his fingers to his lips. Now what? Look at that. They're throwing fruit to him. He was signaling that he wanted something. You had to pay the toll when you were going to go down this river, or that damn thing was going to kick the shit out of you. He was like, pay up now. But that would be something to live in an environment where that is. Orangutan. Marvelous animal. All right. Well, let's do this one first. This might get your attention. Okay, this is kind of bad, but it's funny as all hell. So essentially what's happening here is this black guy is on one of these, I don't know which platform it is, and you'll see. He's telling a joke, and it works out well for him.
Just go by she, her. What about you?
I just use my name as my main pronoun.
What's your name?
Nick.
So they're going over, they've met on this, whatever platform it is. And she's sharing her pronouns, she, her. And he says his pronouns are just Nick. But then he elaborates.
Nick.
Yeah, but my secondary pronoun, I just go by her. So just like you go by she, her, instead of she, I go by Nick.
So his secondary pronoun is her.
Basically. So I got this exercise that I do basically for us to get comfortable with each other's pronouns. So basically I'll start with the exercise. So for you, I'd go your she, her, your she, her, your she, her. And for me, you could go.
So you're Nick. You're
Oh my God. I love the face he makes when he takes the photo of her coming apart. That's like real trauma for 95% of white females. That's something that they will suffer with for the rest of their lives. The great Slotz is here. Jason is here. Sid is here. Azimuth Clark is here. B is with us, and Linda as well. B says, unrelated, but I'm learning engineering. Do you think there is cause for fearing AI? I know there is no force that can overpower our will, but AI is scary. Thanks for your work, Kip. Keep it Promethean. Absolutely, brother. Thank you for that. Thank you for keeping it Promethean, for kipping with that question and the salute. Your question about AI, are you asking if, and by the way, I absolutely do not approve of that previous clip. And I wanted folks to have a look at it so they would know what to watch out for. You see that comedian again, which was the black guy at the bottom of the screen, then you know immediately to click off of his channel. Immediately. So your fear about, or your concern about AI, is it about replacing you in your profession? Or is it about AI becoming sentient? Tag me. I want to answer your question, my friend. I'm going to have to come up with a pronoun exercise that I will make anti-whites go through with me. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll sing Vita Bella. Hearts will play tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella. When the stars make you drool, just like a pasta fazool, that's amore. When you dance down the street with a cloud at your feet, you're in love. When you walk in a dream, but you know you're not dreaming, signore. Scusa me, but you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore. Okay. We have just one more clip, and then we're going to get into Benny Shapiro doubling down on Brown in America. He likes the idea, and we're going to have a few words about and for old Shapiro. And then we're going to get into Tucker and Putin. It's a very short clip. We'll be right into it, so no worries. We're going to have fun dissecting on this. There's the great Franklin champion. Happy Valentine's Day, Bob. Great to see you, Bob Cratchit. So is it Well, I'll just say, as far as your profession, engineering, AI is coming for just about all of us. It's not going to be here tomorrow, taking over almost all of our professions, but it's coming. So save as much as you can when we near that point. It's going to be something. But as far as it becoming sentient, this is pure sci-fi. And I really wish people would, I wish that knowledgeable people would stop misleading folks for the purpose of getting clicks, for the purpose of getting their book bought, for the purpose of getting their articles read. That's all it is. That's all they're doing. AI cannot be sentient. It's not possible. The argument that it becomes sentient is the same God of the gaps that you see elsewhere, with enough bits, with enough time, with enough, etc. Or some the sort of God of the gaps that some like super brilliant, super genius human being comes along, or team of them, and then they figure out how to make it sentient. AI crunches numbers. It crunches data. So it will be able to take all the data that there is, that it can access, and spit out answers. It will obey what its engineers, its opinions, it will obey in its opinions what its engineers want its opinions to be. So that's another thing that white sympathetic people thought that, well, it'll reveal, it'll say that we're being persecuted. It absolutely will not. Where anti-whites find it coming to heretical conclusions, they will modify it so that it doesn't. And we've actually already seen that. So it will be able to access increasing amount of data, and it will be able to assemble, it'll be able to draw, it'll be able to write music, it'll be able to do all of these things, but it will never be able to have a will and to do what it wants in contradiction to humanity. It is just a giant, it's a giant desktop. Thinks infinitely faster, but it doesn't do anything you don't want it to do. It's a giant calculator. So all of the fear mongering about it is from people who are on the stage, or from people who benefit from that fear mongering in various ways. Sid says hi. Ivan the Horrible is with us. Ivan's main fear about the AI has to do with overloading people's dopamine receptors and making them go insane from absolute lack of stress tolerance. Humans need work to enjoy life. Yeah. I mean, but AI is just going to be a tool in the service of that for various agendas. So it could be entertainment. It could be a particular entertainer, or group of entertainers, or developers who want to get you trapped on a piece of software on some platform so that you can't leave, so that you don't want to leave. And then they'll use AI to do that. AI it's a tool. That's what it is. And we will have to, it's obvious that as a people, we are going to have built into our spirituality. And if you want to know all about our spirituality, read Prometheus Rising, Take Back Your Destiny. You can find that at nowhiteguiltcollectibles.com, at Amazon, etc. But we are going to have built into that almost like more commandments, if you will, that these tools, the phone, the desktop, the laptop, etc., the pad, they are all means of controlling your thoughts and therefore behavior. And it's not, we also have to be very clear, and especially the people in this community, that there is no sorcery there. There's nothing weird. You always hear these people talk, and I've had big arguments over the years, my friends, with these people who always want to talk about the subliminal. There's something subliminal. There's some kind of dark magic, and they can make you drink a Coke when you don't want a Coke, and all of this kind of stuff. The testing was done with subliminal messaging, serious testing, and it showed miserable results relative to fiction. They don't need to like secret and flash and all of this sort of business to manipulate your impression of the world. So they might have other strategies, light patterns and alerts and bells and whistles to keep you scrolling. And so that obviously is something that we're going to have to speak to and make as part of our spirituality, because no free people will exist that is just swiping on their phones and computers 24/7. None of them exist. None of them. It's a tool. That's it. And we all already use it too much, but in a more organized, as our work becomes increasingly organized and we articulate the sort of edicts of that spirituality, and people will submit themselves to those edicts for the benefit of themselves by way of our people, then we'll be putting the phone down. We'll be moving away from the computer when our activities on those things are not either for our immediate needs. You're ordering something that you need, food maybe online or something of this nature, groceries, or you are promulgating, advocating white positivity online. Otherwise, yeah, it's a way. That's what TikTok, a great example is TikTok and how dangerous that is. You show up somewhere and you see all the children and they're all bent over their phones, and 90% of them on TikTok. So that's a legit concern, brother. Thank you for articulating it. I like the cut of your jib, says Sid. Thank you, Sid. I appreciate it. All right. Where are we? Are you ready to get onto some hoe math? It is Valentine's Day, and there were people. Did you see this? I saw this today. Everywhere I went, there were slews of men carrying flowers, chocolates, big heart-shaped boxes of chocolates. They're teddy bears they're carrying of various sizes, teddy bears and probably nationalities. I just laden with gifts, presumably for the women in their lives. I didn't see a single woman carrying any gifts. Have you all witnessed this? Isn't it a strange thing? The women in the anti-white narrative, we're told, of course, everything in the anti-white narrative is false. The women, we're told, are all just horribly and miserably oppressed by males. They're totally taken advantage of. And yet, when I look out at the world on days like Valentine's Day, I see men everywhere scurrying. And did you see the glazed looks on their faces? Like they're somewhere else. They're like thinking, did I get enough? Did I do enough? Is this going to be acceptable? It's not even like she's going to feel how much I love her with these gifts. This is like paying homage at some god that they go and kneel down to, some statue, some living statue at the house that males obey. And they show up and they're like, are these enough gifts? Oh God of the household and my life. Have I bought enough? Are there enough flowers? Are there enough chocolates? Have I bought enough? Is the teddy bear big enough for you? I find it sickening and pathetic. The proper thing for a man to do is to come home, kick the door open, and say, you're lucky to be with me. Happy Valentine's Day. Amazing. We are not going to recapture our destiny when the household, the relationships, are governed by. Here's something else that happened to me recently. I was in, and it's pertinent, I was in a medical environment, and I was speaking with a female, and I shared with this female in this medical environment a truth. I don't know if I even want to share the exact conversation, but it was a truth about nature. And it was, you know, it was nature. It was one of those parts of nature that are not where there's death. I mean, I didn't come out of nowhere. I wasn't like, hey, you like the weather? That's good. Yeah, the weather's been good. Hey, you know what? You know how these things get torn to pieces by, I didn't do anything like that. There was a slow marching up in a conversation that she actually initiated. And so I just shared this piece of knowledge because she she wasn't quite right about what she was sharing or knowledgeable. Or rather, perhaps I'll say that her knowledge was incomplete. So I finished it off for her. She was so unnerved. This is another adult. She was so unnerved by the reality of nature that she actually got quiet for a while and then shared with me that she had come up with an alternative reason for why these animals that I was talking about here, why they killed other animals in this sort of just this monstrous way, particularly its young. And it was this story that would have been suited for like a 6-year-old, like you wouldn't tell a 6-year-old maybe, or, you know, something like that. Maybe that 5-year-old, Alberto, he could handle it, but not not most children of that age. And she actually came up with this, and then she said, after sharing this with another adult, she said, that feels emoting, that feels so much better to me and she actually said, childlike brain. And my immediate thought was, you vote. So immediately I'm thinking about how our country, by way of voting, has installed, no longer our country or any of our countries, has installed politicians that leave the border wide open so that there is really no country. So it's totally a pissing on all of the sacrifices of our ancestors, even as most recent as living ancestor. I mean, somebody who's actually begotten you, and they don't care. They're going to turn it all over. Why? Because they don't want to, they can hear the reality of the rape, of the child predation, of the murders, of the taking your community away from you by way of white erasure. They can hear all this, but it's too ugly for them to emotionally bear. And so they opt instead to focus on something else, something nice, even to the point of having to make up a story. I mean, maybe I should just go ahead and, I like the lady. Oh, God. I like the lady, but So instead of focusing on all the damage that's being done, she would obviously focus on any visuals that she could have of children coming in, and focus on the fantasies about how they came from this impoverished place and now they're going to be such law-abiding and they'll have smiles everywhere they go through the world. You really think that we're going to get to anything positive by way of voting when such a gigantic chunk of the white population has this mindset? There's no way in hell. There is no way in hell. Okay. Imagine that. Imagine that. Let's take a look at. And then, so we have women like this, and who prefer a fantasy over reality. And then you have these others who guys nowadays are expected to date, and it's just, and do date, and they hate dating. They hate women because of this. Let's have a look at what this guy has to say about this. Here's HOMAth, he calls it, as in your garden tool. I don't know what it has to do with the garden tool, but maybe he'll explain as we work through. So this is a video of a young woman who moderately attractive, who is sharing her views about dating down, if you will. And this guy interprets a bit for us.
Relationship truly only works when a woman settles for a man that she considers mid.
So she said a relationship only works when a woman settles for a man that she considers mid. All right. I love that over time, more and more the reality of female dating strategies. And it's coming out like the biggest of imaginable dams has burst on this Valentine's Day. And the truth of it is just pouring out. You know, guys like me and so many others, not picked by any of the females that were on our level, or even a rung or two down. No interest from them while they were in their prime. No interest whatsoever. And then some guys like me had too much dignity to go much lower and to have children and to be married to something that is, you know, in her prime already looks like shit. Could you imagine when she hits the wall? Oh my God. Medusa style. So she's saying this woman she's come to the conclusion that the relationship can only work, it can only be, etc., when she marries a guy who is mid. So in other words, all of us guys that are not in that top 10%.
That would be, of course, mid women settling for mid men.
Okay, so he's got this chart, just to be clear, 1 through 10. The blues are the boys, the pinks are the girls, I imagine. And so he's saying, okay, mid women marrying mid men. That's peer pair. That's what we should be doing. That's what little girls should be taught. It's all, by the way, in the hands of females. Guys, when guys make the decision about who gets to date and who gets to reproduce, who gets to have sex, that's called rape. We arrest them. We send them to jail forever. Sometimes they get executed if it's particularly savage, and maybe manslaughter or something is a part of it. But let's watch.
I used to talk so much about girls who settled, and now I hope to become one.
Can you believe this? Settling for somebody on her level. This girl is not beautiful. This girl is not no top 7, 8, 9, 10. What the fuck is she talking about? These girls think that their makeup face is their real face. They think that their photos that they take, with all of the proper lighting and all of the more filters than a Keurig, they think that's who they really are. Take the makeup off, get into regular lighting, pull down the filters, and let's see what you actually look like. This woman, she's going to settle. This is what we talk about here. We've talked about it before. Like, she's going to settle. This would be the kind of girl that all us, mid guys, if you will, she would not even know that we were present. And let me tell you, that is a painful thing to go through the world and have a giant swath of the female population that you would like to have interested in you so that you could find out whether or not, at least the good guys, you could find out whether or not there's some compatibility. And then if there's compatibility, then you can go on to create a relationship, and you got a good relationship going. You could get married, have children, have a family. No. So what do you see happening here? What you see happening here now is that she's hitting the wall, and that she knows that her looks are on the downturn. She knows that she's going to be getting worse and worse relative to other women who are in their sexual prime. And so now it's, well, I guess I got to settle. Now, how many times have I told you that women doing this later in life, they have total contempt for the men they marry? Do you need any more evidence? So you have all of these white families now. You have all of these white families that are composed of women who have contempt for their husband. They've already racked up shit tons of sex partners, and the husband's not going to be able to come anywhere close to the super stud that she did on that one night in Daytona Beach. And on top of his actual performance, over time, that memory is going to become something that's even beyond human. So let's follow.
She used to reach out of her league, and now she is aging, so she hopes to grab somebody on the way down.
Precisely. I said hitting the wall, and this woman is profoundly average. But I guarantee you, she thinks that she's a 7, 8, 9, or 10.
Because when a woman does the opposite and falls in real love with someone she's attracted to and who's at her level, it's a disaster.
Here's where...
Listen to that. He's going to explain as well, but just listen.
She gets confused. Attracted to and at her level are not the same thing unless you're up here.
Exactly. And she ain't. And the vast majority of the population isn't up there. 9 and 10s. So this is like a profoundly mid girl who, in all honesty, in 5 years is going to be on the negative side of mid. I mean, come on, we all know it's true. And she's going to start hitting up all of the different procedures, and she'll be able to maintain like an attractiveness that is man-made, if you will, for a number of more years. Reality is just a fact. You don't get to get mad at me, get mad at God, or get mad at nature. So how much time is a guy going to have with her, even looking at this mid-level? How long is that going to last? I mean, for the love of God. So here she's saying, when a girl like her, when she is... when you're attracted to a guy and he's on your level, it's a disaster. Well, how many females out there think that they're on the level? I mean, whether they believe that they're on the same level as the top 10% of handsome men or not, they're still shooting for them. That's the problem. They think they all have the magic lady bits.
It's a disaster because you're going out of your league and he doesn't really want you.
That's when the power dynamic and balance gets thrown off kilter because the man doesn't hold her on a pedestal.
Listen to this. She is now admonishing her audience to dominate the men in their lives. So as has to be worshipped. That's exactly what I saw today with Valentine's Day. All these guys running around where the woman is on a pedestal. If a woman says she needs to be on a pedestal, you need to get rid of her. No, nobody is on a pedestal. So here she's saying, hey, when you date these guys that are way out of your league, that's the translation. They're not your bitch. They're not simping all around. They're not like crawling around on hands and knees with flowers and chocolates and everything. Then they go and they write all these books, these other guys, and they're like, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to be indifferent and not care and just call her whenever, when those are the behaviors of the guys who can behave that way. Not the behaviors that attract women. Those are the behaviors that women or anybody is going to hate in a mate or what they would like to have as a partner. So she's saying, well, the power balance, how is the power balance supposed to be? Oh, you're supposed to be in complete charge. And the guy, is supposed to be this simping twit.
Yes, we all know that putting her on a pedestal is the best way to get what you want. Women love men who are below them.
So she never has the upper hand.
Exactly.
So she never has the upper hand. You don't have the upper hand when you date these guys that are way out of your league, that, by the way, according to her definition, are on your level. I mean, can you look at this girl, this total mid-range girl who in 5 years will be on the negative side of mid. And she's saying that the top 10% of guys are on your level, on her level. This is, oh my gosh. And how many guys that were actually on her level or a rung or two above her that she gave no attention to whatsoever. They were invisible. She walked right by them again and again and again and again. I actually, a couple of times, and one of the places that I did this, I guess the most, because it wasn't many times that I've only done this a handful of times, where there's been a girl that has been on my level of looks, roughly, and totally ignoring, just not seeing me whatsoever. I have made sure that I could step right in front of them just to see if they would run right into me.
Exactly, because this is what you do when you have the upper hand.
And that makes her feel crazy, delulu, out of control.
So when a woman doesn't have control, she's crazy, delulu, out of control. When a woman is not controlling the man in her relationship, and therefore the definition of that is there's an imbalance in power. If she's not in charge, there's an imbalance in power. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you got her a big box of chocolates. I hope you paid enough homage. I hope you gave enough offerings. Did you have to actually cut the heart out of the beating heart out of the teddy bear in front of her? Did you have to spill the teddy bear's blood? What kind of sacrifices did you? I guess it was your dignity that you sacrificed.
Yes, Michael Sartain told me yesterday that's called dread. I was on his podcast. I'm going places.
Because what we're supposed to do as women is just like being receptive.
So now she's mocking the idea of respecting the man that she chose, which is a pretty good idea as long as he treats you well.
Like, allow him to pursue us and chase a relationship truly only.
Okay. Any thoughts on that, folks? Does anybody have any thoughts on those? Happy Valentine's Day, the dating world. Or are you already in a relationship where the wife is totally in charge or the girlfriend's totally in charge of you and you hate it? You hate her for it. She hates you for it. But it's her fault. because you can't take charge in Western society. She has the social and legal power over you. I do want to say, we'll celebrate this on Sunday. Big celebration for Western kind art in our community. 007 sister, she's been swashing with the lexicon dialectics on her sister, who she said is liberal and mildly anti-white. And the sister has just turned the corner. So God bless you, Western kind art. Magnificent. That is truly glorious. Well done. And I love it. I just love it. Big celebration. You big smiles, big swash. This is what works, folks. The Go Free Lexicon dialectics, coming from a place of love, talking about our injury on this Valentine's Day, filled with big red hearts full of chocolates, of course. So well done. I also had an encounter. By the way, I should say that it looks like somebody is over there on Odyssey deleting all of their messages. Well, you can write them again. I'm watching. They deleted all their messages. Under Western Kind Art's post, and Western Kind, all one word, as we ordain that it should be written, because we are far more intelligent than the idiots out there who are trying to steal, co-opt, and rewrite everything that we do. I mean, they'll talk about the Jews and their intelligence. I mean, just take any look at Amrin, for example. They're like, God, they're geniuses. They're just average and just such geniuses. And now we have the, World Jew Congress or whatever it was, and a number of bodies of these Jewish bodies staffed with people with very bright people. And they've said, no more hyphen, no more of this capital S for Semitism. It's just anti-Semitism. It's just anti-Semite. Jason did that in 94. One white guy. You would think white people would take pride in that. You would think white people would be like, damn, that white guy figured that out all the way back then. One of us. No. In the white sympathetic sphere, it's how do we steal it? How do we say that it came from someplace else? How do we say that, let's use a hyphen so we can be different and dumb? So here you have Western Kind Art using the Go Free practice. She gets her sister to turn the corner, and what do I see written underneath of her post? Things like, great, now you need to introduce her to Amrin. Great, now you need to tell her the truth about blacks. Or what? And I was like, are you crazy? To these people. She's not going to go. White positivity works. White negativity doesn't. Open your fucking ears, jackass. Now's the time. No, she's graduated from that dumb shit garbage. She's graduated from it. That's why she's here. That's why it's working. Could you imagine if she had gone to her leftist, mildly anti-white sister and said, let me tell you about how awful blacks and Jews are? That would have been the end of their relationship, as has happened so many times across Western civilization. But you know what? We're just not the behavior of all these white people who want to co-opt and steal and rework and rewrite. They're just demonstrating that they don't have character. They don't have the character that Jews do. That's what they're demonstrating. They don't have the class that Jews do, because Jews find somebody of their community, not all, of course, but a big enough percentage of their total population, find somebody of their community doing something magnificent, and they pick him up to the stratosphere. And they say, look at him. He's one of us. He's a genius. They don't show up and try to steal everything and rework it and remake it. You all just, those people out there, they don't even deserve to be spat on. This is why we're in the state that we're in, by the way. Look at the size of our population. Look at the wealth of our population. It is that exact behavior that has put us where we are today. This is why we are heading to perdition, while this tiny little group of people, and it's only a tiny percentage of that overall group, does so well in the world. But let's just steal what Jason has done under any excuse. So big salute to Western Kind Art. Something I've been doing for my life is evidenced or maybe exemplified or depicted in the following anecdote. I was at the post office and I heard these two scuzzy looking white women in their 50s talking, using the word racist. And the taller of the two, and I made a tweet about this, was talking about how they fired at her church a black man and hired some white guy. And so I didn't know what the detail. Who knows what the detail? The woman's using the word racist on the behavior of the church. They were racist by doing this. What was he not doing his job? Was he not coming to work? Was he not good at the job? Was he stealing? Who knows? They fired him for some reason, obviously, other than race. And anyhow, on my way out, I walked up to her politely, to the two that were still talking, the tall one and the short one. And I said, racist is an anti-white slur. And I gave her like a little grin and smile. And then I started walking away again, still looking at her. And she said, but wait, and trying to figure out how to respond to this. That means I'm anti-white? She actually said that, came right into my story. Almost like Jason has articulated exactly how this works. And it works this way all the time, everywhere you go. And I said, yeah. And kept walking. And then she began a like 5-word stutter of maybe 5 different sentences she was trying to say in response as I just walked away. There was over 10 people who witnessed that. And many of them were non-white. They're wondering, like, well, what's going on between these white people? These ones over here are usually the ones that dominate the rest. They shout them into silence with this anti-white concept. And that this well-dressed, put-together white man just put them in their place, very polite, put them in their place and kept walking. All right. Let's see what y'all are saying. I'm going to bring up, there's another thing that I wanted to share, and I don't think I have it up. Joshua Bell. This is an important lesson for us, a very important lesson for us, especially for me. And do I have it up over here? Joshua Bell is one of the world's best violinist. Have you all heard about the little experiment that was done? I think it was like 10 years ago. He is literally one of the best violinists in the world. Maybe I have it here. A man, so here is this happened right here in Washington, D.C. A man sat at a metro station in Washington, D.C. and started to play the violin. It was a cold January morning. He played 6 Bach pieces for about 45 minutes. During that time, Since it was rush hour, it was calculated that thousands of people went through the station, most of them on their way to work. And there's actually from the Washington Post video of this from years ago. 3 minutes went by. I'll just summarize this so we can get going here. Joshua Bell, one of the best violinists in the world, went to a metro in Washington, D.C., played the most difficult piece in the world to play on a violin to perfection. And he played some other pieces as well. He played that most difficult piece in the world on a violin that was worth $3.5 million. No one gave a shit. People just walked by. 2 days before, according to the story, he played at the Boston Symphony, where tickets were roughly $100 a seat. And he was paid by the minute for his performance, an exorbitant sum in a packed house. But when he played those same pieces on the same violin in a metro in Washington, D.C., no one gave a shit. What lesson does that teach you? That when you throw pearls before swine, nothing good comes from it. None of them can recognize. So you should all feel very good about yourselves. Because if you had walked through that metro station using that experiment as a metaphor for the work that we're doing here, you would have recognized greatness before you. You would have immediately been arrested by the magnificence of the violinist, by the glory of the instrument on which he made music of the gods. And yet, everybody else plodded on by, totally unaware that there was anything of value taking place. The performer with hundreds of thousands of hours of practice and innate talent. The violin, it's $3.5 million value. The pieces of music, one of them being said to be the most complicated piece that could be played on a violin. No one cared. No one knew what it was. No one could appreciate it because they didn't have the ability to appreciate it. How many have heard my message and didn't care, didn't appreciate it? How many have heard me make arguments that destroy the behaviors, the vehicles, the ideologies that have been running our resistance to anti-whiteism into the cemetery for generations, and they didn't have the faculties to appreciate it? If you're here and you're listening to my voice, you are one of the few who, for whatever variety of reasons, have come together in you to give you that ability to see that which is of supreme value. The other lesson to take away from this, not only this constellation of forces within you that literally empowered you to see the value that's here, is that you shouldn't stay where you're not valued, because they'll never be able to understand. Joshua Bell could have played in the metro for the next 10 years, 20 years. He could still be playing there today from when the experiment started. No one there would know, because they do not have the ability to detect the greatness. That is a powerful lesson. We need to go to where we are valued with what we're doing for our brothers and sisters. We should not get stuck in arguments with swine that will never understand, can never understand, are motivated by the basest instincts. Move on beyond them where we can be appreciated. And good Lord willing, the work we put in from day to day will eventually result in us and that hard work being elevated by those out there who have the capacity to understand and see and appreciate. And when that happens, the swine will look up toward the sky where we will be enshrined in the stars. All right. Let's put Benny Shapiro up. I'll see what y'all are saying. I apologize for not keeping an eye. Oh, here we are. Oh, it's a video that we'll play. Let me take a quick look at y'all. Julesy says, too many notes. What on, though? What on? I'm looking for my tag, no white guilt. Sloth says, white negativity is like holding a sword by its blade. Brilliant. I like the visual of that, brother. You give your enemy the handle. Ah, fantastic. Very well said. White negativity is like holding the blade, holding a sword by its blade. You give your enemy the handle. Yeah, your victimizer. That would just be the one. You give your victimizer the handle. Very well written. Very well said. That's the great sloths, ladies and gentlemen. We attract the best, period. We attract the best. Cindy Ben is here. Great to see you. JC is here. Just imagine from the Joshua Bell story how much more of a condemnation it is for those who were exposed to go free and my arguments, the dialectics, the lexicon for a long time. A lot of people in that audience at PWR, that's like watching Joshua Bell play again and again and again, and you're just like, not interested. I don't, because you don't get it. You can't appreciate what you don't get. Brad C is here. Great to see you, brother. Reynold White Wolf says, I know anti-whiteism has degraded the quality of white women, but I think just as we should be white positive, white men should be man positive and not focus too much on the flaws of women. Well, yes, 100%. You have, and this is a very well said, this is an acknowledgement of a behavior, since men cannot choose who gets to reproduce, who gets to have dates, who gets to have, since men cannot. This is a explanation so that we don't get bogged down in something that we can't change. We can be, and we should be, irrespective of men, white men, irrespective of the prospect of a female mate. We should strive to be the best of who we are. We should not fritter our life away on gaming, everything in moderation, of course. But you should have at least moderate physical fitness as a man. You should educate yourself. You should have various interests. You should be active. You shouldn't be living vicariously through other men. You should live by their side, live by the side of other men. We should be willing and able to grow that brotherhood all irrespective of females. And it has to be because they're not going to give a shit. They don't give a shit. And men need to be told this. Men need to be told it doesn't matter how big your muscles get. It doesn't matter if she's young and she hasn't already given up on the idea that she's going to get a prince who is also rich, then it won't matter how much money you have. And this is the general rule. This is not, there are going to be exceptions to the rule. Exceptions prove the rule. So 100% agree. And thank you, Ashley, for asking that question. Men and boys who want to become men, or males that want to become white men, need to focus on you, for you. Be the best that you can be. You get this one life, and you have to be, if you really want who you are to come through your being, you've got to serve the well-being of our people. That is the reason for men. That's our main job, is the well-being of our people. That's where that sense and drive for glory comes from. So you serve that, you get into the struggle, realizing the odds that are against us, and you contend with them. That brings to the fore, and people talk about this in different ways. They talk about it spiritually, they talk about it epigenetically, but it brings to the fore other talents, and it gets the most out of the talents that you have. You have to address your mean pathogens as a male if you want to be a man. You've got to always be on it, because if you don't, you're never going to get there. But it's all irrespective of women and their choices. Because like I said, it doesn't matter. Unless you could have a face transplant. And we see here non-white people now, with the white man's technology, having their brown eyes or their black eyes colored blue. And maybe they can make them green as well. I don't know. Great point. Reynold White Wolf. Let's see who else. Franklin just celebrating there. Samuski. We are enough to influence the world, enough to reclaim our people's destiny. And those who are committed to it are with you all the way. 07. Big 07 to you too, brother. God bless you. A champion. Let's see. Based White is here. Great to see you, brother. He says, I'll be watching the replay tomorrow. Gotta go now. All right, man. Samuski says, my wife and I have battles, but we always make it up in the end. And she is white, positive too. Or she wouldn't have married me. LOL. Happy Valentine's Day, 07. Awesome, brother. Great to hear it. Magnificent. Happy Valentine's Day. What is this? Kingdom of Vinland is in the house. We're going to be watching that short clip from the anti-white bastard Ben Shapiro, and then we'll get right into Putin and Tucker. Kingdom of Vinland says, and on top of this is a massive risk for men in the current system, because women can divorce on top of getting married, trying to get married. Women can divorce him and take half his stuff and ruin his life. Precisely. Yeah, that's the legal aspect of it. Rise is here. Great to see you. FC is here. Hello to you. Yeah, that's part of the legal aspect, that females dominate the court system. I mean, the inbound, this like total mid that's going to be, I mean, let's face it, she'll be on the negative side of mid within 5 years. And I'm just talking about her face. You know, who knows what her body looks like, right? But anyhow, they all think that I'll just stop eating. Yeah, then your that tight body that you had when you were young is all of a sudden mush. No thanks. But I had two thoughts. The one about the courts And what was the other? I'll go with the courts then. That they can end up taking more even than half. Totally ruin your life. And this is somebody that in a lot of cases already has contempt for you because you are her equal, her peer pair. And so that's something else that guys need to be aware of. If she's not in her sexual market prime, now this is not the every time I feel like I have to make this clear, the value of a woman can and will grow in most cases throughout her life. She'll be gaining wisdom. She can educate herself. She can learn different trades, tasks, all kinds of different things, just like a man. So the value can continue forevermore. But there is a very specific window of high sexual market value, which is really underwritten with the ability of one to easily produce healthy children. And those markers come through in that beauty, in that tight body, in that etc. So beyond there, she's going to have contempt for you to some degree. And not in every case. We're just talking about the general rule, and the fact that is the general, that's the rule, that's the way things are generally, is that you see it everywhere. You can find an exception here, you can find an exception there, but you see this everywhere. So they will crush you in court. They've got all of the social and legal power, and then they turn out like this one in the video there, where they want to say a guy that is you're attracted to and is on your level. Sid says we should do a male version of this too. What exactly, Sid? Give me a tag, because we moved past, and I don't know exactly what you were saying. Thank you all for tagging me. Get my attention with the tags rather than just say Jason or something like that. All right. Let's go ahead and get into Shapiro. And we can, because it's Valentine's Day, we can talk about dating. We can talk about marriage. Rena White Wolf says a lot of women are undateable, but men should still be ambitious, 100%, while being selective, 100%. And I am willing to tell guys of all ages, but particularly young guys, because they want to find that partner to have a whole life with and have children with, have that whole life with. Because we get to do it once. Forget anybody saying reincarnation or whatever, just keep it to yourself. You know of one life. That's it. It's this. Stop counting on something later. Don't count on heaven later, or don't count on heaven looking like this world. And it's just, so this world is just, you're transient here. Don't do that. The glory is now. The glory or the gloom is now. And I believe in a creator. But this idea of we're living for the death. No. If you're living for the afterlife, you're already dead. All right. Rory is here. Good evening, Jason. Have you had a happy St. Valentine's Day? It's been okay. It's been okay. What can I say? I was telling people, I was out walking around. I saw these absolutely feckless, simping, brain dead, tarred males out running around with all their gifts. I hope I can appease the vagina goddess. I hope I can appease Goddess Gina. Have I appeased you, Goddess Gina? I have bought you a dozen roses at 5 times their normal cost. And she'll complain about the missing money next week, but don't worry about it. But you still have to do both. I have also acquired chocolates after deleting several midgets. It's just ridiculous. And the female's empty-handed, all smiles. No shit. No shit. Walking around all smiles. Just like the 3 girls I told y'all at the gym last week. 4. 2 of them were solid 4s. One of them was maybe a 4.5. And they were looking at the guys in their peer group who were 9s and 10s. And I literally, on the pictures where it was like you could see their whole body, I literally saw them zoom into their face. How pretty is he? Oh, he's so pretty. But they would say cute and that sort of word. And I'm like, they're going to be getting bedded down by these guys who, yeah, they don't give a shit about you. Shocker. Julesy says, my favorite Mozart joke. Uh-oh. Did I miss it? Did you tag me someplace else? Oh, too many notes. What was the... That was your Mozart joke? All right. June is here. Great to see you. Yep. So on a day like Valentine's Day, just know that there are tons and tons and tons of white guys who on the every other day of the year, actually it's what, 365 days this year because we have an extra day this month, they're getting ignored. They're getting ignored by almost all of the female population. At least until it starts to break down. It starts to break down, and then they're like, hey, you want to raise another man or men's children while I have utter contempt for you? What did Shapiro say? You've heard that he said he doesn't care about the browning of America. He is the quintessential example of a conservative anti-white, leading white people directly, one after the other, into the cemetery of our race. Let's hear what he has to say. He was just asked about it.
Orders broadly in a minute, and something that Michael and I have been talking about. But you said the Great Replacement. You said demographics. A part of it is that they're trying to change America from a predominantly white nation to a not predominantly white nation.
I'm going to jump in really quick because what we do here is we teach, and that is we do not use the anti-white concept Great Replacement. If you'd like to know why, you can ask, but I'm going to move along.
Ben, you've taken a lot of flack online for commenting a couple times over the years that you don't give a damn about the browning of America. What do you mean by that?
I don't care about the race. I care about the ideology.
So what he's trying to do is he's trying to mount a defense of saying that he's colorblind. He just wants to make sure everybody has a conservative ideology. Here's the problem with that. America is created every single day the same way it was created by white people who founded the country. It is our biospirit. We are a people, just as Jews are a people. This people know that we call Western kind, and that is universally known as white. This people is a single people with many countries that we create as a projection of who we are. It is indeed, the country is indeed our inanimate body that we animate. And what Ben is saying here is, I don't care if your body dies. I don't care if you are white erased in the country that your people create, as long as they have conservative ideas. So the logical question that follows is Ben of the same mind when it comes to a country that he clearly loves a lot, which is Israel? Is he of the mind that millions of Black Jews, Sudanese Jews, can be brought into Israel? Will that change? Would Ben be fine with that? Would that change what Israel is? What Jews like Ben would like it to be? Ben, of course, would come to his own defense and say, well, that's my people. This is what we make. We need a place for us. Yes, you anti-white motherfucker. Exactly. That's what we have, and that's what you are destroying. So I don't care about the race is the problem, motherfucker. That is the problem. You don't get to get out from underneath of this appearing as the demon that you are, this anti-white demon that you are, by saying that you don't care about anybody's shell. All you care about is what they think. That is a direct attack on a country that a specific people creates, that they need for their home. You anti-white trash. Somebody needs to, maybe in a parallel universe or in a video game where there is a Benny Shapiro, we'll call him Benny in the video game, and have one of them pies that you push into someone's face and have it actually filled with manure, because this is in the video game. This is vile. He is a vile anti-white demonic cretin. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if this country that's made by a people called the white race, Western kind, he doesn't care if it ceases to exist, as long as ideas there are still present that he approves. Piece of shit. So I've already dismantled him. He would never talk to me. He would never debate me, because I would do this to him in person.
I don't think that they care about the race, by the way. I think they care about the ideology.
So he's saying the what we call anti-whites, that they don't even care about the race. They care about the ideology. Bullshit. It's all about victimizing white people.
They could import 200 million liberals from Sweden. I think that they would do it.
No, they would not. They absolutely would not. That's why the door isn't open to more left-leaning or socio-politically left-leaning countries. Why aren't they importing the white population from Canada, who is massively anti-white, massively deferential? What about the white population in the UK? Massively deferential compared to Americans. Why not import them? Why not give a test? What's your ideology? How do you feel about white people? How much do you hate them? They're not importing anybody based on the ideology. They're importing people to white erase Western kind.
But isn't the point that just it so happens? I'm not saying it's good. I wish we could shift the whole black vote. I wish we could shift the whole Hispanic vote. But we just haven't. It just hasn't happened.
Well, I mean,
I was on a Twitter space the other day. By the way, if you see me on a Twitter space and you want to come support me in case I'm given the mic, which I occasionally am, and you can be there and you can give applause and with a little emojis and 100% sign and all of that sort of thing, then jump on in to support me. But I was on a Twitter space and they were actually asking the exact same question. How do you bring blacks into the GOP? The white people on the Twitter space, wonderful, good folks, were making the same two errors that white people always make, which is One, you tell black people that you will give them more than the Democrats will. That's never worked. Trump proved it. It should have been once and for all. They've been doing this. If you all remember, if you read Born Guilty, if you haven't, you should, because what are you doing here? Why are you pretending to care about Western civilization, white well-being? But when I was all the way back during Bush Jr.'s first term on the Hill, you'll remember that in that meeting that had the heads of all, we had them every Wednesday, had the heads of all of the biggest conservative groups in the country, not like little groups, the biggest, White House staff, senators, and House members, all present. And the big Republican strategist who's still alive today and on TV all the time was asked by intrepid, brazen, effronterous hero, wasn't me, but hero, when he was talking about what the Republican Party was going to do for all the non-white races, naming them all, and what they were all going to do for them. And she said, what about white people? And he said, nothing for them. Nothing. So there was the idea the Republicans had. That was the idea before I showed up. And still to this day, all the way up to Donald Trump, platinum plan. Blacks didn't vote for him. Of course, there are black individuals who vote Republican. Here we're talking about the general rule. A percentage of the black population, whatever you want to imagine it to be, did not vote Republican because even though Trump said he was going to give them the platinum plan, because in my experience, that particular percentage of the overall black population sees Republican offers or promises like this as cynical and fraudulent. So you can't promise them more than the Democrats will give them. The other thing that white people do, and they were doing in the Twitter space, a couple of them recommended, was essentially just tell black people to stop being black. Be a selfish individual like us white people. And it made me think about the when Biden said that if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. The Republican version of that idiocy is stop being black. Start thinking about the abstractions like us white people. Start not caring about your people like us white people. We don't care about other white people. You shouldn't care about other black people. We should just care about all of us as Americans. No one else functions that way. No other size of, in my estimation, in my view, but look everywhere, look for yourself, see if the numbers don't bear out what I'm saying. No other group functions that way but white people. Has that worked? Generations of telling black people to stop acting black. No, that doesn't work. And I shared when I was on the call, the one thing that Trump could do when he ran for office that would get him a bigger share of the black vote than has ever been given any Republican. And that is simply to tell black America that if the border is not closed and these newcomers, these interlopers, these whatever you want to call them, criminal intruders, if they're not sent back, that there won't be enough resources for black people. And black people are already experiencing this in New York, Chicago, LA, all over. They're already experiencing that there are too few resources for them now because so much of the resources are going out to the criminal intruders. Black people will vote for him if he even hints at that. And that will be the reason why. Do you want to go a little bit deeper on that? It's just this. Black people will believe that argument because they believe, and again, I'm talking about the general rule of this percentage of black people, they believe that closing the border is something the white man wants to do. So you have to give this population an argument that they are going to believe. They believe the white man wants to close the border. When Trump said, I'm going to give you the platinum plan and give you billions and trillions of dollars, they said, no, I don't believe that, because that's not what the white man wants to do. So you have to understand what their perception is. And I hope to God that if Trump wants to get some of their vote, it's not going to be, we'll consider reparations or any of this sort of bullshit. They're not going to buy it. They're not going to believe it. He's got to very simply articulate that they are going to run out of resources. You won't, that food truck that's there for you each morning, that the white man provides each and every morning, it ain't going to be there for you anymore. It's going to be feeding all the new. You might get some, but it's not going to be like before. And on and on. That is how you'll get votes from the black population for the Republican Party, in my opinion. So that's, this guy right here was just saying, hey, we haven't been able to get blacks and Hispanics and all the others to vote Republican. And that's a shame. I wish I could get them all to vote. Let's continue.
But I don't see how that's relevant. In other words, the way that the left likes to slander the right when they talk about things like the Great Replacement Theory is by suggesting that the reason that the right is opposed to mass migration from these countries is because they want fewer brown people. The point that I was making.
We want fewer brown people. We want a white country. Good non-white people want a white country. How do we know that? Because they like freedom of speech, they like the right to self-defense, they like civility, they like a legal system, they like all of this. So some of them will be able to recognize, and I think we all know non-white people who are not anti-white, they recognize that if the country becomes predominantly something other than white, it won't be Western. It'll be less Western the fewer white people there are. So let the anti-whites say that. Ben is not beating them by saying, I'll just capitulate and we'll have the whole country be white erased. But it's very convenient for this Israel-loving anti-white bastard.
Is we don't want mass migration from countries that don't share our values. Right. I don't care whether they're brown, whether they're green, whether they're white. Like, it doesn't make a difference to me. If you come from a country where you are used to gigantic...
That was just self-serving right there. He doesn't care if they're white. He doesn't... So, in other words, if they were white conservatives, like, for example, lots and lots of the Russian population is more conservatively minded, has been for bringing shit tons of them over. Of course not.
Take government services that take care of you, and you're coming here to be reliant on those government services, or you don't share American feelings about how family ought to work, or about how government ought to work, or about many of these values. I don't care if you're pulling those people from Latin America, whether you're pulling those people from, like...
Again, here you have the unspoken cuck premise, and that's why a piece of garbage like this is able to be a multimillionaire on the backs of white people. For fuck's sake, folks, people like Ben Shapiro become millionaires from the dollars of white people. Just understand that. The unspoken premise here is that values or ideas, etc., are independent of the genetics that produce them, the mentalities that produce them. This is the values and etc. just fall from heaven. It just so happened that all the Western values, all the Western norms fell on white people's heads and nowhere else in the world. And where white people go, they reproduce it. And where other people go, they don't reproduce Western civilization. So this is totally erroneous. It is totally a lie. It is absolutely not independent of the instinct of the animal that's bringing it forth.
The most liberal parts of Europe, like, that doesn't matter to me. The ideology of the people who are coming in matters to me. So when I say about the browning of America, again, race is of no relevance to me.
Total bullshit, because you know damn well and good he wouldn't be fine with a black Israel.
Insofar as it's just race, the ideology matters.
Okay, that's it. That was the end of that video. I'll take a look at what y'all are saying, and we will go ahead and bring up Tucker and Putin. Amazing how much there is in that interview, for as insipid as it was, and yet how little people actually gleaned from it. It's the takes are all over the map and all stupid. It'd be nice to be able to say otherwise, but that's not the reality. We were at 5303, I think. And we'll see. Might not be able to get through the rest of it. That's fine. All right. We'll speed it up to, let me see what y'all are saying. Thank you all for showing up on this Valentine's Day and for giving a like to the stream and sharing it. Hyperborean Dream. Jason's always keen on psychology. Yes, I understand the human animal completely. Thank you for sharing that, 555. The video is louder than me. And he says, always louder than me. Okay, I will from now on. So, because there are a couple different ways that the video shows up on the screen. When I'm using that particular tool to put the video on the screen, I'll bring it down to about half and we'll see. Thank you for that. Yes, that's something I need to know because I'm not hearing it the way you all are. Oh, wow. Rory says his 29-year-old daughter is pregnant with twins. They're due in June. So they may be. Oh, is that Geminis? All right. Well, congratulations, brother. Big salute. Tell your daughter congratulations. Wonderful. Twins coming. Are they going to be daughters or sons of the West? Lavish is here. Great to see you. Klomp is here. White Calling is here. Wonderful to see you. All right. Let's see. Now, this is a different tool to play the video for y'all. So let me know if this is the same. Is it overly loud or not? Here we go.
Them signing a treaty with a gun to their heads. The troops should be pulled back from Kiev. I said, all right. We withdrew the troops from Kiev. As soon as we pulled back our troops from Kiev, our Ukrainian negotiators immediately threw all our agreements reached in Istanbul into the bin.
Okay, so he was recounting a story. Oh, wow. Huge victory. Representative Shriver, who we were talking about the other day, and up in, it wasn't Wisconsin, was it? Anyhow, we were talking about him the other day, and he was being lambasted as a racist, the word we never use, concept we never use. A couple of our people reached out to him, and we're trying to share some of the lexicon dialectics with him. And 15 minutes ago, he used white erasure. Oh my God, that is so fucking epic on this. Where is that? Can somebody DM me that tweet? Somebody DM me that tweet. Where is this? Wait, maybe I already have it. You are seeing us change this community, change the world in real time. Why isn't the whole white sympathetic sphere? Why are they out here following Go Free? Why are they trying to just co-opt the concepts that we use? Why are they trying to use the old vehicles and etc.? Why are they doing all that shit when we are the people who have actually been making change? And they're out there trying to steal credit for our work. Fucking scum is what they are. So Josh Shriver just tweeted, white erasure is wrong, period. This isn't controversial, period. Oh my fucking God. Huge salutes and celebration to the people who have been reaching out and getting him to respond to them. Where's my cheers? We got to celebrate. Let's celebrate. Raucous emojis for Shriver. Hey, man, somebody tell him that we are celebrating this guy. Prince Shriver, representative my ass. You did this. Reptile, the great Reptile is here. Let me see if I can grab the tweet to put it on the screen for you all. We'll switch out here for a moment. I'm going to follow this guy now for sure. Let me give a heart and a repost. This is so epic. There it is. Representative Josh Shriver. White erasure is wrong. This isn't controversial. Oh, totally. Oh, happy Valentine's Day, folks. Celebrate team white well-being. Celebrate white positivity. Holy shit. Holy shit, folks. Holy shit, that is awesome. Pants right here saying, God bless you, brother. Oh my God, how awesome. How awesome. Team WWB. That is so great. I need to hear a little bit of Foreknow. That's what I need. We're not quitting yet. We're just celebrating. Yes.
Some folks call me a rambling man. I do a lot of thumbing and kicking. name wasn't Willie Woodrow, and I wasn't born and raised in no ghetto, just a white man looking for a place to do my thing. Well, I'm out to find me a wealthy woman in a line of work that won't take no diploma, and I ain't got
Celebrate.
losing life to gain. Some call me a good time fella. I ain't black, I ain't yellow, I'm a white man looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any party, anything.
That is so awesome.
I got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you gotta hump and get it. I'm a white man looking for a place to do my thing. Now,
So awesome, folks. Right in the middle of our Valentine's show, Shriver using the lexicon. Oh my God. We got to get him on the show. We got to get him on the show if he'll come. But what we really need is him using more and more of the lexicon and the dialectics to crush the anti-whites who are trying to destroy him and his career and our people and all that we make. God bless King Shriver. Let's keep rolling. We're going to get back to Tucker and Putin. So what they were just talking, how awesome, isn't that awesome? What they were just talking about was that there was a peace negotiation going on, and the anti-white oligarch, U.S. and vassal states side of it said, hey, we can't negotiate with your troops so close to Kiev. And so he said, all right, I'll pull them back. He pulled them back, and they threw away all the agreements. Make no mistake, it's exactly what I said from the very beginning. They were on the American anti-white oligarchic side. The intent was to continue to just wage and win this war by attrition. Please remember, if you don't remember, go back and look at those very first days. Russia has been able, as far as information that we can glean, to move up to the Dnieper, whatever that river's called. And as far as I know, they haven't gone beyond it. They are, as far as I know, fortifying. And the United States is going to just keep dumping, along with its vassals, hiring mercenaries, myrmidons to go in there and die as the Ukrainian population is bled dry. And in the hope that eventually, just by way of attrition, Russia has to back out of there.
And got prepared for a long-standing armed confrontation with the help of the United States and its satellites in Europe.
So just to check now, how is this audio compared to the audio of Shapiro? Can somebody or a couple folks let me know?
That is how the situation has developed. And that is how it looks now.
Franklin says, I think he and you just DM so you can tell him what to say. Well, if he doesn't follow me, then my message to him is just going to fall into that category with all of those other messages that he's obviously going to be getting. I'm sure he's getting an ass load in the colloquial of messages from people he doesn't follow. So I would just be completely lost. If we could get him to follow me, that I will absolutely message him. Oh, Clips, the great Clips. Sound is good, quieter. Okay. Ivan, audio is fine, much less irritating than Ben Shapiro. Okay. So when I play videos then from that other tool, then I should bring that volume down from now on. And then you all can let me know if it's too quiet. I'll try to remember that. If I don't remember, say, hey, remember, this is the tool that makes the videos too loud.
But what is, pardon my ignorance, what is denazification? What would that mean?
This is where we get into what I explained to you all in brief detail about the denazification, desiring the denazification. It strikes a discordant note where he brings it in the conversation. They're talking about, and he has been going on and on about the pressure, and he he comes back to this, the pressure that is exerted on Russia doesn't end because it doesn't end. There are different ways in the contest of nations, but there certainly are, well, I could just say smarter and dumber ways to seek that one up on the other nations, the other holders of power. I guess maybe we're beyond it really being countries that are just fine, because so many countries fall under the umbrella of oligarchs. So, but that's really what it is.
That is what I want to talk about right now. It is a very important issue.
The volume doesn't look like I can turn it up anymore, unfortunately.
Denazification. After gaining independence, Ukraine began to search, as some Western analysts say, its identity. And it came up with nothing better than to build this identity upon some false heroes who collaborated with Hitler. I have already said that in the early 19th century, when the theorists of independence and sovereignty of Ukraine appeared, they assumed that an independent Ukraine should have very good relations with Russia.
I'm going to point out again, he hasn't said it yet, but he will, that no country, no government on earth is going to allow Nazis, Nazi ideology. That is all of the villain role playing in our countries, all of it. No country is going to allow it. No government on earth. So can you imagine the people who play the villain? They couldn't even take out their local Girl Scout troop in a contest, or literally the local police force. But they're going to take on all the governments of the world? Give me a break. And now, mind you, you don't have to be saying that you're a literal neo-Nazi, as you all know. You just need to look like, sound like, ideologically, etc., in dialectic, etc., the Nazis.
But due to the historical development, those territories were part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Poland, where Ukrainians were persecuted and treated quite brutally, as well as were subject to cruel behavior. There were also attempts to destroy their identity. All this remained in the memory of the people. When World War II broke out, part of this extremely nationalist elite collaborated with Hitler, believing that he would bring them freedom. The German troops, even the SS troops, made Hitler's collaborators do the dirtiest work of exterminating the Polish and Jewish population. Hence this brutal massacre of the Polish and Jewish population, as well as the Russian population too.
So just the history lesson about how cruel, wicked, etc. Nazis were.
This was led by the persons who are well known, Bandera, Shukevich. It was those people who were made national heroes. That is the problem.
The great Fournol is with us, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful to see you, brother. Happy Valentine's Day. Alex says, imagine if the interviewer asked him if he held the same belief on Israel. He would be utterly exposed. Oh, well, yeah. You mean with Shapiro? No, that was one of his colleagues. He definitely was not going to be asking that. But again, he would be in a position, since Israel is not going to accept, they've actually deported Israeli blacks, or Jewish blacks. He's in a position, since he knows that's not going to happen, to just say, sure, I would be fine with that. It's very convenient to make this convenient comment. But I think probably better to assert what everybody knows. And then he has to attempt to deny it, which would make him look like a liar. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And a big bless you to Pants as well, brother. Thank you so much.
And we are constantly told that nationalism and neo-Nazism exist in other countries as well. Yes, they are seedlings, but we approve them. And other countries fight against them. But Ukraine is not the case. These people have been made into national heroes in Ukraine. Monuments to those people have been erected. They are displayed on flags. Their names are shouted by crowds that walk with torches, as it was in Nazi Germany.
Now, this is, you're not to hear this and conclude then that there is some sort of actual Nazi. This is the war propaganda for Russia. This is the moral part of the motivation for the population.
These were people who exterminated Poles, Jews, and Russians. It is necessary to stop this practice and prevent the dissemination of this concept. I say that Ukrainians are part of the one Russian people. They say, no, we are a separate people. Okay, fine. If they consider themselves a separate people, they have the right to do so, but not on the basis of Nazism, the Nazi ideology.
Okay, so it's clearly an unpracticed argument that flies very easily in Russia because he's Putin. And you see that Tucker stumbles over this a little bit, at least that I recall. I watched it on super fast speed, or actually I didn't. I listened to it on super fast speed one time. So Tucker is going to stumble on this because how does it make sense that you are not going to allow an ideology to spread in somebody else's country? Because the logical conclusion is that then you're going to wage war on all the countries where there is an ideology that you don't approve of. But in Russia, he's making an appeal to the people, their fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers who fought the Nazis. And so when he says, we can't tolerate them, he's in the midst of an emotional appeal, evocative appeal to the population. That's all it is. So it's, we're going in anyhow. We're going to wage the war anyhow because of these pragmatic reasons. But here's the emotional cherry on top for the population. Reptiles. Ben Kosha, a.k.a. the notorious J.U.E. from New York City, dropped some new tracks. What? No way. Oh, that's funny. Tunnels to Tel Aviv. Oh my God. What is YOLO in Yafo? Oh my God, that is hilarious. The Batman of Bat Yam. Oh yeah, Ben Kosha. Ben Kosha. That S with is a $sign. You got to remember though, because that's his like trademark. You know, he's a millionaire off all you white rubes. He's a multi-millionaire off this. His Jewish children are going to live great. His Jewish children are going to live. His Jewish wife, they're going to be very happy, very well taken care of off the backs of white people dollars. How many white people showing up here to support an actual leader of the West? Oh, that's right. You're all here. Ben Kosha. I really like, I gotta listen to Tunnels to Tel Aviv by Ben Kosha. That is too funny.
Would you be satisfied with the territory that you have now?
I will finish answering the question. You just asked the question about neo-Nazism and denazification. Look, the president...
So he wants to continue, and I don't know if you remember, and maybe I can't remember what he talks about next, but maybe you'll be able to witness. I'll try to remember to point out the witness the change in his demeanor when he goes from talking about the pragmatic and also his sentence construction. When he goes from talking about the pragmatic to the emotional, you'll see the big difference.
The President of Ukraine visited Canada. This story is well known, but being silenced in the Western country. The Canadian Parliament introduced a man who, as the Speaker of the Parliament said, fought against the Russians during the World War II. Well, who fought against the Russians during the World War II? Hitler and his accomplices. It turned out that this man served in the SS troops. He personally killed Russians, Poles, and Jews. The SS troops consisted of Ukrainian nationalists who did this dirty work. The president of Ukraine stood up with the entire parliament of Canada and applauded this man. How can this be imagined? The president of Ukraine himself, by the way, is a Jew by nationality.
Really, my question is, what do you do about it? I mean, Hitler's been dead for 80 years.
And here goes the obvious conclusion that you arrive at if you take Putin's comment to that logical conclusion.
Nazi Germany no longer exists. And so, true. And so I think what you're saying is you want to extinguish or at least...
Slotz writes here, Putin had a duping delight on his face while he talked about no one accepts Nazis in their country. Yeah, precisely.
Please control Ukrainian nationalism, but how? How do you do that?
Послушайте меня. Ваш вопрос очень тонкий.
Listen to me. Your question is very subtle, and I can tell you what I think. Do not take offense.
Of course.
Он, казалось бы, тонкий. Он очень противный, этот вопрос.
This question.
That was a pause tactic. He wanted to gather his thoughts.
It appears to be subtle. It is quite pesky. You say Hitler has been dead for so many years, 80 years, but his example lives on.
This is the typical Western politician dissimulation.
People who exterminated Jews, Russians, and Poles are alive. And the president, the current president of today's Ukraine, applauds him in the Canadian Parliament, gives a standing ovation.
Do you see how that's different from his other tactic, the more traditional Russian tactic of dealing with a question that you don't want to answer? You just say, I'm not telling you anymore. That's it. That was the way he was handling the questions when he was being pragmatic about the legitimate pressure placed on Russia in this play of power between oligarchs, really is how we should term it, because it's really not countries in so much as it used to be. And it's been even less of a, maybe we'll explore that one day, because that's a topic, and if we open that, then this stream will be way too long.
We say that we have completely uprooted this ideology if what we see is happening today. That is what denazification is in our understanding. We have to get rid of those people who maintain this concept.
Now, I did not read a whole lot or investigate about this incident in Canada. I don't know if you all want to educate me on it, what ended up happening. Obviously, anti-whites at the highest level of the Canadian government were not going to celebrate Nazism. They were not going to celebrate this man as a Nazi. Clearly, this was a demonstration to the Ukrainian population, primarily, and then secondarily to the rest of the world, that they have a cohesive culture. This is one of the heroes from their culture. You have George Washington. They've got this guy, okay? You had Patton from World War II. They've got this guy. It's to help you to identify
and support this practice and try to preserve it. That is what denazification is. That is what we mean.
Right. My question was a little more specific. It was, of course, not a...
Putin cites the ass out battalion to justify a brother war. Does he think we're all as stupid as Tucker? Well, says Reptile. Remember, Putin's primary audience is Russians. The secondary audience is America, the American population, et al. And so, first and foremost, he has to say the things that are useful to him when it comes to the Russian population, specifically, of course, Russian oligarchs, who are all also anti-white. And that's one of the things I don't want to fail to mention when watching any of this, however much more we watch, is that this was, if Putin wanted to disrupt the American engine, if he wanted to disrupt the American engine, there was one thing that he could have condemned the American government for, one thing that he could have condemned the American government for which there would be no concealing the truth of it. And that is anti-whiteism. He could have leaned forward in this chair and said, your government, the American government, persecutes the founding stock of that country. That is how corrupt your government is. That is how detached your leaders are. Don't you feign to tell me what's moral and immoral in this world. Why didn't he do that? That would have been very disruptive in the States. If the leader of Russia, he's not just some figurehead, everybody realizes this. He is actually a wielder of power in Russia. If he had said this to the world and specifically condemned the United States for its anti-whiteism, for its persecution of the founding stock of this country, it would have been extraordinarily disruptive for the American engine and its ability to wage war with the bodies of white men in Ukraine against Russia. Why didn't he do it? Because he's anti-white. That's why. He is as anti-white as the rest of them. There would have been at least a mild calculation about how could that benefit America. Maybe now it would disrupt America, but in the future, could that end up benefiting America and making it much stronger and therefore much more of a much bigger and more powerful of a player on the global stage? Yes. So even though it would disrupt today, even though it might undermine to whatever degree the engine to wage war in the United States, and think about it, if he said it about America, he wouldn't even have to say it about the rest of France and UK, and everybody would just see same things happening here. A leader of this powerful country has acknowledged and identified the persecution, discrimination against. He could have been armed with, look at what IBM does. Look at what Krishna said the other day. Look at who Harvard hires. Look at on and on. He could have had all of this. All of this, he could have said, is the most immoral thing that America could do to its founding population. You have no right to preach to the world about ethics or morality. But he didn't. Never, ever forget it. He has the power, with just a couple of words, to have broken a great many of the links on the chains that bind us. And he didn't say shit. That's how you knew he was never our guy. He could have been saying it in Russia. He could have been saying it at these meetings when the big economic powers gather and etc. He could have been saying this all along. Never says it. Why doesn't China say it? Now, when might Xi Jinping and Putin end up saying what I just said that Putin could have said? When the threat becomes greater and persistent and present in the present than a potential future threat. When that happens, then they'll say it. Then they'll say, America might be made stronger in the long run, but we need them weaker right now. He's not there yet. Russia's not there yet. China's not there yet. Iran's not there yet. North Korea's not there yet. None of these places are there yet. They don't want an America that arrests the victimization of white people, because that America will be a lot more like World War II America with modern technology. That America will be a lot more like World War I America with modern technology.
Defense of Nazis, neo or otherwise, It was a practical question. You don't control the entire country. You don't control Kiev. You don't seem like you want to. So how do you eliminate a culture or an ideology or feelings or a view of history in a country that you don't control? What do you do about that?
А вы знаете, как вам не покажется странным, в ходе переговоров в Стамбуле...
You know, as strange as it may seem to you, during the negotiations in Istanbul, we did agree that we have it all in writing. Neo-Nazism would not be cultivated in Ukraine, including that it would be prohibited at the legislative level. Mr. Carson, we agreed on that. This, it turns out, can be done during the negotiation process. And there's nothing humiliating for Ukraine as a modern civilized state. Is any state allowed to promote Nazism? It is not, is it? That is it.
Will there be talks, and why haven't there been talks about resolving the conflict in Ukraine, peace talks?
Они были, они дошли до очень высокой стадии согласования позиций.
They have been. They reached a very high stage.
Is any state, take a close look at that statement. Is any state allowed
of coordination of positions in a complex process, but still they were almost finalized. But after we withdrew out,
so something that all of the oligarchs on planet Earth are clearly what we can tell by the evidence of their deeds. Forget about people trying to tell you what they heard in a meeting or whatever. We just can look at their deeds. You really have no idea. We have no idea what's going on behind their palatial palace, spoonerism walls. We have no idea. We can just see the outcomes that they want with that power. No state is allowed. That doesn't mean there's one ruler on top of the whole world. That just means that all of these oligarchs are anti-white.
Troops from Kiev, as I had already said, the other side threw away all these agreements and obeyed the instructions of Western countries, European countries, and the United States to fight Russia to the bitter end. Moreover, the president of Ukraine has legislated a ban on negotiating with Russia. He signed a decree forbidding everyone to negotiate with Russia.
By the way, thank you, Slots, for messaging me on Skype and letting me know that we had this great victory. I didn't see it in the live chat.
But how are we going to negotiate if he forbade himself and everyone to do this? We know that he is putting forward some ideas about this settlement, but in order to agree on something, we need to have a dialogue. Is that not right?
Well, but you wouldn't be speaking to the Ukrainian president, you'd be speaking to the American president. When was the last time you spoke to Joe Biden?
I cannot remember when I talked to him. I do not remember. We can look it up.
You don't remember?
No. Why? Do I have to remember everything? I have my own things to do. We have domestic political affairs.
Well, he's funding the war that you're fighting, so I would think that would be memorable.
Well, yes, he funds, but I talked to him before the special military operation, of course. And I said to him then, by the way, I will not go into details, I never do, but I said to him then, I believe that you are making a huge mistake of historic proportions by supporting everything that is happening there, in Ukraine, by pushing Russia away. I told him repeatedly, by the way. I think that would be correct if I stop here.
What did he say?
You see the Russian way to handle a question you don't want to answer. I stop here. I don't say more.
Ask him, please. It is easier for you. You are a citizen of the United States. Go and ask him. It is not appropriate for me to comment on our conversation.
But you haven't spoken to him since before.
Of course, it's not easy for Tucker or anybody else to ask Biden. And does it even matter? Putin has gotten done over the first hour of this saying repeatedly that all of the presidents that he has had to work with were overruled by, remember now, his perspective of the world is KGB versus CIA. So he always just called it CIA. That's another thing that he didn't do here, is that he didn't name the oligarchs, the anti-white oligarchs behind the US and UK and the rest of the vassals. So it's like they keep them, even in conflict, they watch each other's back against the populations.
Before February of 2022.
No, we haven't spoken. Certain contacts are being maintained, though. Speaking of which, do you remember what I told you about my proposal to work together on a missile defense system?
Yes.
You can ask all of them. All of them are safe and sound, thank God. The former president, Condoleezza, is safe and sound, and I think Mr. Gates and the current director of the intelligence agency, Mr. Burns, the then ambassador to Russia, in my opinion, are very successful ambassador. They were all witnesses to these conversations. Ask them. Same here. If you are interested in what Mr. President Biden responded to me, ask him. At any rate, I talked to him about it.
I'm definitely interested, but from the outside, it seems like this could devolve or evolve into something that brings the entire world into conflict and could initiate a nuclear launch. And so why don't you just call Biden and say, let's work this out?
What's there to work out? It's very simple. I repeat. We have contacts through various agencies. I will tell you what we are saying on this matter and what we are conveying to the US leadership. If you really want to stop fighting, you need to stop supplying weapons. It will be over within a few weeks. That's it. And then we can agree on some terms. Before you do that, stop. What's easier? Why would I call him? What should I talk to him about? Or beg him for what?
And what messages did you get back?
The question, of course, it would be over in a few weeks. Does that mean that he would stop at that river in the middle of the country? Or does that, and therefore the war of attrition would end against Russia? Or does that mean that he would just proceed through the rest of Ukraine? Who knows? Trump might, to end this war, say, you get the East, we get the West.
You're going to deliver such and such weapons to Ukraine. Oh, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. Please don't. What is there to talk about?
Do you think NATO is worried?
Tucker's such an idiot. Why don't you call him? You're just buddies. You're just all of these infinite number of, not literally infinite, but number of players, power holders, shifting power structures, alliances and shifting alliances. And he's like, just pick up the phone. Call that old decrepit corpse in chief that can't string a sentence together.
About this becoming a global war or a nuclear conflict?
I think Tucker is, and this is not an insult to him, but I think he's better suited to interviewing dilettantes, just upstarts that they're pretty or whatever it is. They got a big audience, and he can put them before the midwittery, and he can do his little laugh. Like when he said there, what do you mean you don't remember? Ha! Like to us, you understand what he means by that. That it was so trivial and insignificant, it wasn't memorable. But that's not going to translate. That sort of juvenile responses that would work well with a YouTube dilettante is not going to translate to Vladimir Putin. I mean, KGB. Come on, give me a break. And Sloth says, and people say they want him as president. Could you imagine to go from the businessman who can make all these great kind of deals until he comes up against an ideology that's not going to make any deals with him in Trump, and then want to go to a talk show host? Reptile says, there's only one rule of the jungle. Who's going to stop me? And Putin knows this. Very well said. Exactly.
At least that's what they're talking about. And they're trying to intimidate their own population with an imaginary Russian threat. This is an obvious fact. And thinking people, not Philistines, but thinking people, analysts, those who are engaged in real politics, just smart people, understand perfectly well that this is a fake. They're trying to fuel the Russian threat.
The threat I think you're referring to is a Russian invasion of Poland, Latvia, expansionist behavior. Can you imagine a scenario where you sent Russian troops to Poland?
Only in one case, if Poland attacks Russia. Why? Because we have no interest in Poland, Latvia, or anywhere else. Why would we do that? We simply don't have any interest. It's just threat mongering.
Well, the argument, I know you know this, is that, well,
it's just war. It's war propaganda to motivate the population, mostly to just stay quiet in the United States about what the oligarchs want to do. Remember, think of countries as like a great lion, and it's somewhat trained. You see people get into the circus and they whip the lion, they jump. This giant king of the beasts performs like a dog for the audience to a guy that it could easily tear apart in moments. And the lion tamer walks on a very fine line when he's doing this. That's how it is for the oligarchs. They walk on a fine line. They need to motivate, they need to prod, they need to intimidate, they need to use the tools that appeal to the human animal to get them to either capitulate or to become fervid and support, etc. But if they push too far, the lion can turn around. Doesn't mean that it's going to end up eating the lion tamer, but they could get really hurt. There's a video of a lion tamer in a circus that's on the internet, and I don't know, apparently the guy was some great kind of a lion tamer. One lion one day in front of a crowd decides he's had enough, and he grabs hold of the lion tamer, and all of a sudden all of the supporters, etc., the other staff of the circus, they were ready with a fire hose, and they spray the lion off of him. He gets up and he goes right back to trying to control. Lion pulls him down again. He doesn't die, but he's severely wounded by it. He's severely injured. Now imagine, if you will, that another lion tamer is aggressively waiting in the wings to have that role. This would be analogous to other oligarchs, even in your alliance. They would immediately move on you. So that lion tamer would immediately move on the injured lion tamer in the various ways that he could to get him demoted, dismissed, and promote the other lion tamer. That is the nature of the world. That is the nature of the human animal.
Invaded Ukraine, he has territorial aims across the continent, and you're saying unequivocally you don't.
Абсолютно, это абсолютно исключено.
It is absolutely out of the question. You just don't have to be any kind of analyst. It goes against common sense to get involved in some kind of a global war.
Глобальная война.
Yeah, it's a preposterous series of questions. If Tucker's going to ask this, which probably would be pertinent and relevant, he should have phrased it as obviously you're not trying to get into a war with NATO and the superpower of the world, the United States. And then let Putin speak to that.
And a global war will bring all humanity to the brink of destruction. It's obvious. There are certainly means of deterrence. They have been scaring everyone with us all along. Tomorrow, Russia will use tactical nuclear weapons. Tomorrow, Russia will use that. No, the day after tomorrow. So what? In order to extort additional money from US taxpayers and European taxpayers in the confrontation with Russia in the Ukrainian theater of war. The goal is to weaken Russia as much as possible.
That was a flaccid attempt at an appeal to the American audience.
Our senior United States senators from the state of New York, Chuck Schumer, said yesterday, I believe, that we have to continue to fund the Ukrainian effort, or U.S. soldier citizens could wind up fighting there. How do you assess that?
Это провокация.
This is a provocation, and a cheap provocation at that. I do not understand why American soldiers should fight in Ukraine. There are mercenaries from the United States there. The bigger number of mercenaries comes from Poland, with mercenaries from the United States in second place, and mercenaries from Georgia in third place.
You see remember what Jason said? Do you remember when Mark brought on PWR this guy who was like specializing, I can't remember who it was, this guy who was specializing in investigating, researching, and reporting on what was happening between Russia, Ukraine, etc. And I asked him what I had already speculated, and it ends up being clearly the case now as time unfolds, that this was just a war of attrition, and they would continue fighting with the Ukrainians as long as there were Ukrainians to fight. And I asked this guy, what other populations might they draw from for their mercenaries to continue the war of attrition, because the US, the UK, and et cetera can supply all the weapons. But if there aren't men to die, if there aren't white men there to die, then who are they going to use? The expert on the interview on PWR said it was a very interesting question. He had never thought about it. So he doesn't know what population they might draw from. Now we know, well over a year later, that they're drawing from Georgia and Poland. According to Putin, they have to be drawing from somewhere because the Ukrainian population is getting decimated by this, according to the news that we can gather.
Well, if somebody has...
And watch out for the anti-white oligarchs in the U.S. at all to bring in non-white soldiers as well. Keep an eye out, mercenaries, for that as well. And to flood Ukraine with non-whites. Where might they come from? Where do you think they might come from? Where might they get those troops?
Has the desire to send regular troops, that would certainly bring humanity to the brink of very serious global conflict. This
Linda says, 07 Jason with a trophy. Thank you so much.
is obvious. Do the United States need this? What for? Thousands of miles away from your national territory. Don't you have anything better to do? You have issues on the border, issues with migration, issues with the national debt, more than $33 trillion.
No mention of all the persecution of white people.
You have nothing better to do, so you should fight in Ukraine? Wouldn't it be better to negotiate with Russia, make an agreement, already understanding the situation that is developing today, realizing that Russia will fight for its interests to the end? And realizing this, actually return to common sense, start respecting our country and its interests, and look for certain solutions. It seems to me that this is much smarter and more rational.
Who blew up Nord Stream?
This is the best part. Thank God I got you all to it.
You for sure.
I was busy that day. Nate, do you have...
Got to give it up to Tucker. That was solid. That was solid. I didn't like him in most of this interview. He wasn't terrible in all of it. His nature, I do think, is more suited to internet dilettantes and the like. But nonetheless, his mannerisms, etc. But nonetheless, I thought that was a magnificent quip. What a quipper you are, my friend. What a quipper. What a quipper Tucker was. I was busy that day. That was brilliant. Come on. I mean, he's in the presence of Putin and all that pressure. You know, he's got to be surrounded by their Secret Service and etc. Brilliant.
I did not blow up Nord Stream. Thank you, though.
You personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi.
Okay, so you see, Putin, that's a genuine laugh there. You'll see him at other times in this interview where he does not, his laugh is sardonic. This is a genuine, real, to be redundant, but to drive the point home, laughter. And then he had a nice little quip back. Well, maybe you have an alibi.
Did you have evidence that NATO or the CIA?
Lunder is here. He says the quippiest. He is the quippiest.
I did it.
You know, I won't get into details, but people always say in such cases, look for someone who is interested. But
and here's that interesting part where Tucker had asked that, do you have evidence? Surely, you know, you're Russia. I think he repeats it. But then Putin gives the stymieing answer.
In this case, we should not only look for someone who is interested, but also for someone who has capabilities. Because there may be many people interested, but not all of them are capable of sinking to the bottom of the Baltic Sea and carrying out this explosion. These two components should be connected.
And that was one of the things, of course, that should have been obvious to the United States if the United States carried it out, that there weren't going to be many or any others that could do it.
Is interested and who is capable of doing it.
But I'm confused. I mean, that's the biggest act of industrial terrorism ever, and it's the largest.
Trumper. Maybe that could be like the new hat. Trumper. You're a Trumper.
Emission of CO2 in history. Okay, so if you had evidence, and presumably given your security services or intel services, you would, that NATO, the US, CIA, the West did this, why wouldn't you present it and win a propaganda victory?
This is a very powerful educational moment. Look at that laugh. That is sardonic. It's this realism. It's like it's like thinking about if cancer is killing you, why don't you just get up and get over it?
In the war of propaganda, it is very difficult to defeat the United States.
Into conversation. So many people, that was probably the most powerful point. Well, that and the no country on planet Earth is going to allow Nazism. And that means anything that looks like it. So much so, that in particular is such a point that he's actually able to use it on the population to say, we're not going to allow them over in this other country, we'll invade. Irrespective of whether there was any like actual homage to Third Reich and etc., or desire to relive it Fourth Reich style. But that right there, no country beats the United States in propaganda. That is the psychological warfare that you are up against. I'm going to play it again. One of the most powerful man that you'll ever see talk. Actual power holder that has probably killed people, has ordered plenty of deaths, is ordering lots of deaths today. I'm not just talking about somebody rich, but also with the power to kill, just told you that no one beats the United States in propaganda. That same power is exerted on you. So this absolutely asinine idea that you can fix, that you can contest the greatest propaganda power on planet Earth with this asinine 3-word litmus test, it's the J's. It should be put to bed at this point. Anybody saying that, anybody harping on white negative in a negative way, it should be done. There shouldn't be any more discussion. This propaganda that defeats all countries on planet Earth is also wielded on the white population of with the exception of Russia, who's obviously outside of that umbrella, on the rest of the white world. Being able to contest that, to undermine that, is something that is going to have to be beyond genius, beyond Earth. And we are on that path. We just had during this very stream that huge success with Shapiro. No one else is going to have those things. They never have. We did that.
Because the United States propaganda.
And win a NATO, the US, CIA, the West did this. Why wouldn't you present it and win a propaganda victory?
In the war of propaganda, it is very difficult to defeat the United States because
it's amazing.
The United States controls all the world's media and many European media. The ultimate beneficiary of the biggest European media are American financial institutions. Don't you know that? So it is possible to get involved in this work, but it is cost prohibitive, so to speak. We can simply shine the spotlight on our.
But Jason, these grugs that came and they just have, instead of brains, they have some muscles. Don't you get it? That they know how to do this, and then they'll just claim that your victories as their own. They'll just say it's always been there. Don't you know that these grug meatheads out there, don't you know that they've got it all figured out? I mean, are you serious? The fact that these idiots advancing these ideologies, the fact that they get a single person to follow, it's like this litmus test is an IQ test. Are you dumb enough to be a part of those groups? That's what it is.
Sources of information, and we will not achieve results. It is clear to the whole world what happened, and even American analysts talk about it directly.
Mestizo Carv says, today is the first day of Lent, which means we have to give up something.
It's true.
Yes, but here's a question you may be able to answer. You worked in Germany, famously. The Germans clearly know that their NATO partner did this, and it damaged their economy greatly. It may never recover. Why are they being silent about it? That's very confusing to me. Why wouldn't the Germans say something about it?
This also confuses me. But today's German leadership is guided by the interests of the collective West rather than its national interests. Otherwise, it is difficult to explain the logic of their action or inaction. After all, it is not only about Nord Stream 1, which was blown up, and the Nord Stream 2 was damaged, but one pipe is safe.
They're on the same team, if you will.
And sound and gas can be supplied to Europe through it. But Germany does not open it. We're ready, please. There's another route through Poland called Yamal Europe, which also allows for large flow. Poland has closed it, but Poland pecks from the German hand. It receives money from the pan-European funds, and Germany is the main donor to these pan-European funds. Germany feeds Poland to a certain extent, and they close the route to Germany. Why? I don't understand. Ukraine, to which the Germans supply weapons and give money. Germany is the second sponsor of the...
He does understand. He knows it's warfare. It's an act of war. So he knows.
United States in terms of financial aid to Ukraine. There are two gas routes through Ukraine. They simply closed one route. The Ukrainians opened the second route.
Reptile says every time they transition to Tucker, the camera focuses on Putin's bald spot. That's true. I did notice that as well. And I think it's classless of Jesus. This is what happens when you have too little sleep. Of Tucker's team, it's classless.
Then please get gas from Russia. They do not open it. Why don't the Germans say, look, guys, we give you money and weapons. Open up the valve, please. Let the gas from Russia pass through for us.
I mean, we all know that thinning hair is something that not even trillionaires yet can do something about. And it's been this way throughout all of our mortal existence. So to show this like they were, him in like this blurry bald spot up near the camera, silly.
We're buying liquefied gas at exorbitant prices in Europe, which brings the level of our competitiveness and economy in general down to zero. Do you want us to give you money? Let us have the decent existence. Make money for our economy, because this is where the money we give you comes from. They refuse to do so. Why? Ask them. That is what is like in their heads. Those are highly incompetent people.
Well, maybe the world is breaking into two hemispheres, one with cheap energy, the other without. And I want to ask you that. If we're now a multipolar world, obviously we are, can you describe the blocks of alliances? Who is in each side, do you think?
Good question right there. Kudos to Tucker.
Listen, you have said that the world is breaking into two hemispheres. A human brain is divided into two hemispheres. One is...
Who else have you heard talk about that?
Responsible for one type of activities. The other one is more about creativity and so on. But it is still one and the same head. The world should be a single whole. Security should be shared rather than meant for the golden billion. That is the only scenario where the world could be stable, sustainable, and predictable. Until then, while the head is split in two parts, it is an illness.
Don't believe like the benevolent sounding. It is always the real world, the jungle, as Reptile is pointing out, is always a contest of struggle. There's always the jockeying for an edge on the opposition, because if you don't, the opposition gets an edge on you. As I said, there are smart ways and dumb ways to do this. There are more peaceful ways to do this and less peaceful ways. This contest over Ukraine is a less peaceful way that I think, if human inertia, in other words, the way it's been done, if that were not at play in the United States and its satellites, if that were not at play, then probably wiser minds, or at least likely wiser minds, would have prevailed, because you could certainly still keep Russia cornered and continue to encircle China, which would be an objective, has to be an objective. You could still do that without controlling Ukraine.
Serious adverse condition. It is a period of severe disease that the world is going through now. But I think that thanks to honest journalism, this work is akin to work of the doctors. This could somehow be remedied.
Well, let's just give one example, the US dollar, which has kind of united the world in a lot of ways, maybe not to your advantage, but certainly ours. Is that going away as the reserve currency, the universally accepted currency? How have sanctions, do you think, changed the dollar's place in the world?
You know, to use the dollar as a tool of foreign policy struggle is one of the biggest strategic mistakes made by the US political leadership.
I love that he said that, because that was the very first thing I said when they militarized the dollar as a weapon. Because it's true.
The dollar is the cornerstone of the United States power.
Now, there were a lot of people talking, I think going too far, saying, well, militarizing will bring down the power of the dollar. The power of the dollar is backed by the death that the United States can inflict on the world. Nothing is going to contend with it. Everything else is just like, it's like you and your brothers or sisters make up play money in the house. Your parents still exert the total control over all of that. It doesn't matter. You create your own currency. The moment it assumes a posture that is a threat at somewhere in the foreseeable future for the anti-white oligarchs in the US, they will move on it and do whatever they have to do. They're not going to stand there and watch. So you have a lot of economic personalities, businesses that are making money off of scaring people into buying other assets, and because the dollar is going to die and all of this sort of business. Never forget, when they're doing that, they are happy to take your worthless dollars for whatever it is they're trying to sell you. That's the thing of value. So just keep that in mind, and you'll be able to spot charlatans a lot easier.
I think everyone understands very well that no matter how many dollars are printed, they're quickly dispersed all over the world. Inflation in the United States is minimal. It's about 3 or 3.4%, which is, I think, totally acceptable for the US. But they won't stop printing. What does the debt of $33 trillion tell us about? It is about the emission. Nevertheless, it is the main weapon used by the United States to preserve its power across the world. As soon as the political leadership decided to use the US dollar as a tool of political struggle, a blow was dealt to this American power. I would not like to use any strong language, but it is a stupid thing to do and a grave mistake.
He's imperfect, as all human beings, and he made a big mistake there that I'm sure American intelligence, etc., didn't miss. That the use of the dollar as a weapon is really hurting Putin and Russia. And of course it is. But he's revealing his consternation there. Suddenly emotion was trying to come in, and he was telling himself not to lose his cool.
Look at what is going on in the world. Even the United States allies are now downsizing their dollar reserves. Seeing this, everyone starts looking for ways to protect themselves.
Now, this is the counter argument to try to make himself, the other oligarchs, the population, and Russia feel better about that reality.
But the fact that the United States applies restrictive measures to certain countries, such as placing restrictions on transactions, freezing assets, etc., causes great concern and sends a signal to the whole world. What did we have here? Until 2022, about 80% of Russian foreign trade transactions were made in US dollars and euros. US dollars accounted for approximately 50% of our transactions with third countries, while currently it is down to 13%. It wasn't us who banned the use of the US dollar. We had no such intention. It was the decision of the United States to restrict our transactions in US dollars. I think it is complete foolishness from the point of view of the interest of the United States itself and its taxpayers, as it damages the US economy, undermines the power of the United States across the world. By the way, our transactions in yuan accounted for about 3%. Today, 34% of our transactions are made in rubles, and about as much, a little over 34% in yuan. Why did the United States do this?
So he's gonna, I think what he does here, I'm trying to fast forward some, I'm running out of time. But what he's going to do, if he's about to do over here, is he starts talking about, well, now our currency has replaced and Chinese, etc. We don't need the U.S., so we're growing, etc. That is what I was talking about. This is the argument. Of course, there has to be another currencies to fill the void that the dollar is not filling, as it's being used as a weapon of war. Guaranteed that as soon as this conflict is over, assuming, and I think this is an easy prediction, that Russia remains intact and the oligarchs there remain in power, soon as they have access to American currency again, they'll push their own dollars, their own money right out. Ruples.
Only guess is self-conceived. They probably thought it would lead to full collapse, but nothing collapsed. Moreover, other countries, including oil producers, are thinking of and already accepting payments for oil in yuan. Do you even realize what is going on or not? Does anyone in the United States realize this? What are you doing? You're cutting...
Really, really becoming emotional now. It's really hurting Putin and Russia.
Yourself off. All experts say this. Ask any intelligent and thinking person in the United States what the dollar means for the U.S.
But
you're killing it with your own hands.
I think that's I think it's a fair assessment. The question is what comes next, and maybe you trade one colonial power for another, much less sentimental and forgiving colonial power. I mean, is the BRICS, for example, in danger of being completely dominated by the Chinese economy in a way that's not good for their sovereignty? Do you worry about that?
Well, we have heard those boogeyman stories before. It is a boogeyman story. We're neighbors with China. You cannot choose neighbors just as you cannot choose close relatives. We share a border of 1,000 kilometers with them. This is number one. Second, we have...
So he goes into how friendly and what great allies he is with China, and China and Russia together is this omnipotent power. They don't need your American dollars. Like I said, when this is over, everything, they'll happily take American dollars again.
Illegitimate in terms of the Charter of the United Nations. One should think very carefully. For decision makers, this appears to be a problem.
So you said a moment ago that the world would be a lot better if it weren't broken into competing alliances, if there was cooperation globally. One of the reasons you don't have that is because the current American administration is dead set against you. Do you think if there were a new administration after Joe Biden that you would be able to reestablish communication with the U.S. government? Or does it not matter who the president is?
I will tell you, but let me finish the previous thought. We, together with my colleague and friend, President Xi Jinping, set a goal to reach $200 billion of mutual trade with China this year. We have exceeded this level. According to our figures, our bilateral trade with China totals already $230 billion, and the Chinese statistics says it is $240 billion. One more important thing, our trade is well balanced, mutually complementary in high-tech, energy, scientific research and development. It is very balanced. As for BRICS, where Russia took over the presidency this year, I assure you that this is not the case. I think he made a lot of mistakes with regard to Russia too. I told you about 2008 and the decision in Bucharest to open the NATO's doors for Ukraine and so on. That happened during his presidency. He actually exercised pressure on the Europeans. But in general, on a personal human level, I had a very good relationship with him. He was no worse than any other American or Russian or European politician.
My stream? it appears that we have stopped streaming to YouTube, or am I still up? Okay, I'm back. All right, well, apparently, and I want to give a big thank you to Slots, who reached out on multiple platforms to get to me, that YouTube was detecting video that belonged to somebody else. And even though I'm talking, I'm stopping the video and I'm analyzing the video. Apparently that is not enough. Tucker owns the video, so I don't know if it's at the request. I doubt it. But as far as I know, this is the property of Tucker Carlson, not the Russian state. So at some point, I don't know how long was the stream unavailable? It looks like the message came from YouTube, and it looks like I was 1.5. Cool Papa J Magic says about 1.5 minutes. Only down for a minute. Okay. Well, yeah, I have on my YouTube dashboard. Would YouTube do this without Tucker or his people not wanting this video played, not wanting this interview played? Maybe. Matt is here. Hello, Matt. Ghost is here. Machiavellius is here. First, last is here. Well, okay. Struggling still here. I don't know if it was YouTube who did it on their own. I would think that they would need a request from Tucker. I don't think Russia owns rights to the video. Slot says it might be an automatic detection. It went down for, he says, 3 minutes. Let's see. YouTube is now reporting excellent connection. There was a warning on the dashboard that said that it just got. Oh, first Slots got off work. Let's see. Oh, okay. Thank you, Slots. There was a warning that said that they had detected copyrighted material. So even though I'm giving my thoughts on it, and it's in screen, and I'm taking up the majority of the screen, and incessantly stopping it, which is my wont to do. Apparently, that's not enough. Maybe there's something special about this particular conversation versus other conversations, other videos that I've watched. I don't know. But your thoughts, I guess I'm not going to be able to show any more of, maybe I was hitting a little too close to accurate, being right. Or maybe it was just an automated thing. But again, the automation has to be, as I understand, per a copyright request. So let me take a look at what you all are saying. Financial gifts on this Valentine's Day. I think we got enough, essentially, out of the Tucker Carlson interview. And I guess we'll have to watch in the future if you are going to be watching anything of Tucker's and critiquing, giving commentary on it. If it also, I'll have to keep the YouTube dashboard open so that I can keep an eye on it. I'll put it up on one of my monitors. Happy Valentine's Day, Tucker. All right, let's get out your raucous emojis. Big salutes, 007's celebration. Since it's Valentine's Day, let's make it hearts. Let's make it whatever it is they have there that's reminiscent of Valentine's Day for the one and only Dude Bro Moment, who decides to come in here, as it is his wont to do, to be glorious and epic. Every stream, 50 white well-being dollars, and he says, for white well-being. God bless you, brother. Thank you so much for that. Happy Valentine's Day. Even when yours truly is censored for reviewing Tucker. Even when he's censored for reviewing Tucker. Isn't that? I wonder if Tucker is going to end up being, it's not automated. I wonder if Tucker is going to end up being the kind of guy that you can't review unless you are a cuck. God bless Dude Bro Moment. 007's a Valentine. Happy Valentine. Keep them going, 007's. Keep them going, folks. Get that saluting shoulder going. Julesy as well over here on Entropy. God bless you, Julesy. 50 white well-being dollars as well. 50. Don't censor Jason Kuna, no white guilt on YouTube. Dollars. Saying with those 50 bucks, never let the dear leaders make serfdom great again. Amen to that. Very well written with those $50. Indeed. Just making sure. Okay, we got everybody on Entropy at the moment. Very good. Thank you both so very much. Dude Bro Moment and Julesy. Happy Valentine's Day. God bless you. Over here on that Cash App, keep it going. Maki has shown up on Cash App. God bless you, Maki. 25. We're going to put an end to the harming of white baby dollars. God bless you, my dear brother. 25 says with these $25, AI lies. Test it yourself. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. You were probably one of the ones that heard all of these grugs out there saying that, oh, the AI is going to tell it like it is. I mean, I could understand, like, initially, once you conducted the test, once you hear AI coming out with anti-white outcomes, then the intelligent person says, oops, nope. They're able just to manipulate this as easily as anything else. But there are people out there who are still doing it. God bless you. $25 from Maki. Keep it going for the one and only, the glorious. Happy Valentine's Day to Maki and to No White Guilt Clips, who is in here financially gifting $40 to White Wellbeing. God bless you, Clips. And he has an 07. Happy Valentine's Day. 07 to you, my good brother. We are at work in love. Let them decide to silence us here. That's just let them silence us here. We're going to keep going. We're not doing anything wrong. We're moving forward with love, hope, and redemption for everybody of all races and backgrounds who live in Western civilization. They can't stop that. They can stop these villains out there. They can stop these people who hate other groups of mankind. They can't stop an idea whose time has come, built in love and aimed at redemption. Keep it going for Dr. I, ladies and gentlemen. Big, big raucous emojis, 007s, hearts, and more hearts, and whatever else, different color hearts. Dr. I, 50 $50. White well-being 50. Let us gather up the anti-whites and tickle them into oblivion. We will tickle them repeatedly until they decide not to be anti-white anymore. God bless you, Dr. I. $50. He says, thank you, Jason, for white well-being. 07. Thank you for being one of the true champions to stand shoulder to shoulder. I'm honored to stand with you. Happy Valentine's Day. Dr. I, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to keep rolling here on Cash App. We just got First Last just came in with a $5 financial gift, just got off work. He's already chucking $5 at the problem of anti-whiteism, and he says Dvorak with those $5. God bless you, brother. Thank you so very much. We will refresh Subscribe Star as we continue to celebrate. And it looks like, okay, Subscribe Star is blank. I will spin around this direction. Who do we have over here? If anyone on Odyssey. Let me make sure we're still working. Okay, we are. Thank you all for getting at me. I'm going to have to leave that screen up, that dashboard, so we can make sure that we are not running afoul of YouTube. He said, Western Kind United over there on Odyssey says the transmission was fine on Odyssey. Thank you so much. Looks like I didn't miss anybody, and I don't see any tags for yours truly. Let's check out D Live. D Live, we have a Spartan has given us 1 ice cream cone of cryptocurrency as well as 4 lemons, delicious lemons. 4 of them and an ice cream cone of their cryptocurrency. God bless you. Thank you so much. Spartan. Spartans. Very cool. I don't see any tags. Wait, that's an old one. What supplements do you take? And how do you know if a brand of multivitamin is any good? Maybe I'll come back to that as we're running out of time, but I will ask that again if I don't get to it today. Hello to everybody over there on Rumble. I don't see any tags for me. And let's see about Twitter. There are no comments under the stream. To everybody who is on Twitter or who can get on Twitter, is it showing that my stream on Twitter is up and running? Is it on the right-hand side of your account, like you see other shows that are up and running? I'm just wondering if mine shows, because if not, I'm gonna wonder why and see if we can't remedy that. Thank you all for the celebration for these heroes, these champions. Doesn't look like we missed anybody, and looks like we're good here. Yeah, the problem was obviously Tucker video, Tucker interview. And that's the first time that happened. Everything else looks okay, though. So we're running. We're up and running. We're fine. Okay, great. Sloth says your stream shows under live on X. Okay, very good. Very good. All right. Well, this has been a very interesting roll-in, hasn't it? A Valentine's Day roll-in, and we had a great, enormous, Team White Wellbeing had an enormous victory during the roll-in on Valentine's Day. Nobody else has that happen. Nobody else has that happen. We had YouTube, for the first time, interrupt a stream that I was doing, a video that I was doing commentary on. So that's, I hope that doesn't become a norm. But maybe, like Sloth said, it's just a automated thing But even then, it would mean that Tucker, the owner of the footage, is objecting to its use. I don't think they would just stop any use as like a precaution. Maybe the owner of the video might not like this. So we'll have to watch. And if anybody else has had a video taken down or stopped midstream as a consequence of viewing Tucker's interviews, then we might be seeing one of these free speech activists that isn't so keen on allowing free speech. Very interesting. Yeah, they'll fight for, I mean, I guarantee you, if Tucker and his team has said it can't be played and commented on, I guarantee you that there is deep hypocrisy, that he has been on shows and in conversations where he says he supports the anti-whites' right to say whatever they want to the end of time, to the death of all things. But when it comes to real resistance to anti-whiteism, it's silence time. All right. Thank you all so much for celebrating these champions. Reynold White Wolf says they didn't want you discussing how both sides of this conflict are anti-white. You might be onto something. You absolutely might be onto something. All right. I am not Catholic, so I won't be giving up anything. To go back to the comment earlier from the great Mestizo Carve, I won't be giving up anything as per the tradition of our wonderful Catholic members of our community. But I support you all, and I hope you don't give up something that is too much for you to get through for Lent. Alex has an off topic. Curious about your opinion on the food, this food. How do you feel about eggs? Are they good, healthy for our bodies in your opinion? Okay, I'll go to both of those questions. The other one was about vitamins or supplements in general. Eggs, in my opinion, are one of the best things that you can possibly eat for most people. Now, I understand that obviously if you have an allergy or any number of other objections, but eggs are a superfood. And I eat eggs every single day. They're so fantastic. I make scrambled eggs. I make them with coconut milk because the coconut fat is good for you. So I stay away from dairy hormone. I add salt because salt is magnificent for you. At least it has always been in my case. So, yeah, eat tons of eggs. If you can afford eggs that are free range and all of this other business, then why not try them out? The eggs that I am normally able to afford are the regular grocery stores, like one tier up from the mass produced eggs. So love them. I think they're fantastic for you. As for supplements, it's not easy to find a supplement that is good for you. Also, that is going to stay good for you. And also that is not largely wasting your money. For example, when I dug into supplementation with things like one-a-day vitamins, I was able to dig up that the majority of what you're consuming is not needed, and so being pissed away. As a consequence, the absolute most that I will take a 1-a-day type of vitamin is twice a week. The absolute most. Most of the time, just one. It becomes also less of an economic burden, but that wasn't my initial consideration. That was just a benefit of what I discovered in my research. So the amount of nutrients that you get from eggs and from beef, which is eggs and beef are the top of the pyramid. That's like, for me, or the bottom, whichever it is. That's what you need the most. Eggs and beef. And so that's what I do. That's what I've seen a lot of other great athletes resort when they're not trying to sell things on television or in the newspapers or magazine, because those are the nutrient dense foods. And then some vegetables, rarely fruits. The commercials that show you, it's not a horrible thing, but the commercials that show you in this panoply of vegetables and fruits from all around planet Earth, and you need them all, preposterous. What they're doing is they're just selling their brand. They're saying, look at how much we've included in this pill, so you're going to be getting all the benefit. When in fact, many of those fruits or vegetables are going to have some sort of, in my experience, and those that I have talked with over athletic career, etc., have adverse effects to various degrees. Certainly when you start getting into things like weird varieties of mushroom and fungus and all of this, to be healthy, this is the one thing, this is the biggest secret that I can give you that's going to make the biggest difference in your life, is that health is not the good things that you consume. Health is the bad things that you don't consume. The human animal, the body, and you can see this with the rest of the animal kingdom, they're able to almost come to like the full bloom with next to nothing. It really takes a lot of malnourishment to undermine an organism from reaching. It's far, if you really want to undermine an organism, you want to do it in its mind rather than by way of what it eats or lack of what it eats and needs. And you can think not just about us, of course, but you can think about elephants being trained as calves to not be able to pull away from a iron stake in the ground. And then when they're adults and they could drag like 18 Volvos behind them if they wanted, they'll stay put with a stick in the ground. You do the same thing with dogs, all animals. And we are no different, even though I do believe that we have a soul. So we're no different than the rest of them. So it's the mind undermines your abilities. It's far harder to undermine your abilities by way of malnutrition. It takes a lot of malnutrition. So you just have to take in these basics, and your body will do everything, in my opinion, that it's designed to do. Having said that, it's the drinking of the X beer here or there, or whatever it is, or this process there, here or there. And another thing you have to look out for now, I just saw at the grocery store the other day, this artificially lab created ingredient label on bread. I wasn't eating bread. I just saw it and was like, what is that? And it's kind of like hidden. So I'm not eating any of that. And I would recommend to others not to eat any of that. So have the basics and stay away from the poison, and you'll be able to be healthy. You keep consuming any poison, and it won't matter how many different fruits and vegetables or whatever, eggs or beef, it won't matter what you eat.
you'll be undermined. And there are endless videos on the internet of people, especially women, who have lived, and again, I'm not saying that this is wrong or right for anyone or everyone, but have lived as vegans or to various degrees, etc., and became very ill. Now, that doesn't happen to everyone, and some people don't admit it because it's not just a diet that they have, but an ideology. So they want to conceal the detrimental effects. They also conceal that they, not everybody, but that they take supplements to make up for. They occasionally eat the hamburger to kind of make up for a little bit. But you'll find these videos of women who are having blood work, and they had all of this anticipation of becoming very healthy by going this direction. And again, maybe it happens for some, but they become very unwell. Then they transition to more meat-based and some veggies, salt, and suddenly the hormones are on track. The weight is falling off. The firmness and muscle, we were talking about that earlier. With these women, they start getting older, and then they're realizing their body is getting flabbier. And I'm not even talking just about fat, but there is fat, there is increasing fat. And so they think then erroneously that if they cut down on calories, they cut back on food, that their body will go back to that tight, slender form that they had. But in fact, the opposite happens. Even if they lose some fat, which very often they don't, but sometimes they do, but the muscle loses the rest of its tension. And then the muscle hangs off the body and looks like fat. So for some reason, many women, not all, they seem to be unable to see this. Like they just look in the mirror with their clothes on, and they see, well, the pants fit better now, the tops fit better now, and that's how they're judging how they look. But now everything is like this flaccid muscle, and it just gets kind of wasting away. This is another important thing to this topic. Calories are all measured the same way, whether it's in a donut or in ground beef. But those are totally different calories. They're different universes. And the fat in beef as well, totally different universe. The calories that you're going to eat from a donut, a pastry, are not used by your body for anything but energy. And the body will take much of it, because you're not going to be using all of it, and just tuck it under the skin as fat and tuck it around your organs as fat. Whereas the calories from a steak are used by your body in all of these processes in your body, not the least of which is maintaining muscle firmness. So you might look at a donut. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you got like a 500 calorie donut and a 500 calorie steak. We'll just say for argument's sake. Well, the 500 calorie donut is becoming fat. There's no way you're going to burn all of that you put in your system. No way. So a bunch of that, the majority of it is going to become fat around your organs, under your skin. The steak calories, it's all almost 100% going to be used for processes in your body. It's not going to be stored as fat, even the fat. So there's obviously the big misnomer that if you eat steak or ground beef, what have you, with fat in it, that becomes your fat. It's sort of the same mentality, but it's not as bad well, I won't get into that because that'll make the conversation even longer, and it's not terribly important. But the fat in steak is going to be used by your body the same way the protein is used. And it's a very rich source of energy. So you lack energy, you might not have enough natural fat. Now, of course, every steak or every packet of ground beef is not going to be fabulous. What's happened to these animals? So you don't want to be consuming tons of polluted with all types of antibiotics and hormones and everything else. What are the cows eating? And you don't necessarily have to burden yourself with trying to find the perfect steak. But if in your lifestyle, rather than just like a fad diet for here or there, you find a place where you can get fantastic steak, where you know it's going to be cleaner than other places, then go there by all means. If you find that the place you're getting it from has all these poisoned cows, then don't get it from there anymore. Find someplace else. But I hope that helps people so that we can be at our optimum. All right, I think okay. Let me swivel around and see what you're saying here. Mestizo Carf is saying salmon, lobster tail, and shrimp. Are these part of your diet, bro? Or you're giving them up? Is that what it was? Let me see if we have any other tags. Looks like we don't. I didn't miss anybody financially gifting. And I wouldn't eat, Alex, I think it was you who asked about eggs. I would not eat raw eggs. Don't do anything that Rocky Balboa did in the Rocky movies. I mean, he's, like I talked about, I haven't seen it this year, surprisingly. But last year, do y'all remember at the beginning of the year, all the New Year's resolution people, and they're getting into the gym, and they're in there doing the Rocky Balboa one-arm push-up, and then they never come back because now they're hurt. And it being hurt like that is not something you want to repeat. Don't do anything like that. When it comes to eating and when it comes to exercise, make incremental change. Stick with the incremental change until you are habituated to it. And then you can make another incremental change. That's where the majority of people err when they're trying to get into better health and better shape, is that they decide that they're going to suddenly turn on Eye of the Tiger or whatever inspirational song you have, and they're going to become superstar athlete. Just try to get healthy, be healthy, and it will benefit you. Exercise and having a basic meal. And it was like Golden One was saying when we had him on. If your normal eating, your normal lifestyle, your normal diet consists of these very simple items, then every now and again you can have something that's normally off the menu. That's fine. And then your brain, you're not longing for it. And you see that done. So I could have told you that Golden One must do that even before he said so. Because otherwise you end up in this environment where everybody gets to have the tasty dessert coffee. Everybody gets to have that slice of cake at the whatever. I will literally have one bite. For example, like if it's a cake somewhere, especially if it's made, with wheat and all that it normally is. I'll have one bite. That's it. I'll ask somebody, before you get started, can I cut a piece off with my fork? Now, other times maybe I'll eat, I'll have a thin slice or something, but often I'll just have one bite. I get the taste, and I don't need any more. But you'll notice too, once you get a healthier diet, you'll notice how when you eat one of these food items that's processed and it's got these chemicals in it, you'll take a bite, and then there is this massive rush to just eat the whole thing. So that should tell you something. That it is there to manipulate you. Rat poison does that to rats. They take a bite and they're like, holy, their brain lights right up. They're like, this is some delicious stuff. And they start chowing down. Just another animal. Most of them pretty gross, I think. I know that some people have rats as pets or have had, but it's just another animal. So the way that it can be tricked is the exact same ways that we can be tricked. Okay. Mestizo said he gave up hot Cheetos. He says they gave him pain during the digestion process. Oh, that was his Valentine dinner. Whoa. Lavish dinner, my friend. You haven't tasted heaven until you had 1/3 cup Wagyu tallow mixed with 6 eggs, emulsion, scrambled, cooked. Wow. That sounds like it's probably really good. Winged Production is here. That sounds like it's probably delicious. Might have to have that one of these days. Well, my friends, we are coming to the end of another gathering. And it was a glorious Valentine's Day gathering. We had a big victory. We learned a lot. I hope we go out into the world and we continue to have success. I will be back on Sunday. That's when you can find me. 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is our normal Sunday gatherings. And maybe we'll probably talk about this victory that we had. I'm sure we will. We'll celebrate it in the swashbuckling. And we have some other victories to share. Maybe we'll talk about any news that I get from YouTube about pulling the stream down. And I think that's it. If there are no more questions, I will begin our Fornulian exit. Here we go. Precisely, Alex. Yep, it's the exact same. It's the exact same with entertainment. They get you stuck and they get you wanting more, and it's just poison. Danunaki, great to see you, says cut sugar with honey. Absolutely. Get rid of that white sugar. Use honey instead. Roll out.
I'm a white man looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they're getting, cause I'm proud.
We have one more. Vincent over here on Entropy, $3. Thank you so much, Vincent. $3 financial gift. He writes, Rachel Dolezan, the anti-white blonde woman with freckles who faked being black. Oh, yeah, faked being black for decades. Just got fired from her teaching job because of her OnlyFans account. Oh, boy. The victories just keep pouring in, ladies and gentlemen.
White I got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you wanna get ahead, you gotta hump and get it. I'm a white